And we're live.
And we're live.
Thank you for coming on.
No problem at all. Thank you
You'll
for
have to
having me.
come just a wee bit closer.
A little bit closer.
Sorry.
There we go.
I know the people on podcasts are perpetually asking their guests to come closer to the microphone.
I came with a pre-installed pop shield as well. Did I make that joke last time? I think I did.
Probably. It never gets old, unlike both of us.
Let's
so
see. Yeah, I'm getting there. Cheers. Thank you very much.
Cheers, man.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
And unofficial sponsors of the show.
I thought we were giving a cheers to the audience as well. Fair enough.
Yeah, did you get into Edinburgh okay?
No.
Okay.
Just rush hour traffic, people getting on the bus last minute. It was interesting.
Yeah, I was asking because the street down there was cordoned off.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
Because someone was killed, supposedly.
Murdered to death. Jeez.
Murder, death, kill, supposedly.
Murder, death, kill, yeah. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, like we don't know what happened, obviously, but supposedly last night around 1 a.m. Someone found him there, and he died. I know, it's crazy.
Wow.
It makes me not want to like live on the street.
No, dude, I live about a stone's throw from Govan Hill, so.
All right, yeah.
Nah, it's not too bad. That's something I've noticed about Scotland actually, is how you can go. Like you speak about a lot in terms of going down the road 10 minutes and finding a different accent. But the socio-economic difference from one area to another in Scotland, I don't know how unique that is to Scotland, but
yeah, it ties into that sort of accent thing, I guess, as well. Yeah, that is obviously something that is prominent in Scotland. I mean, is it more so in England? You know,
I don't know. I've not been down England too much. I've worked down there. I was working down in London a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Can't say I noticed it there, but. I know that you can go from the Corinthian in Glasgow, which is quite a highfalutin place, to 10 minutes, 15 minutes down the road and you're in Calton.
Yeah.
So that's a good example. Or you can go from, is it Park Avenue in Dundee into Stobbswell in 5 minutes, you know. So it's I don't know how unique that is, but it's worth knowing.
Yeah. I was watching a video on YouTube, I think it was yesterday, and it was Loki, you know, the sort of rapper. Yeah.
Loki.
And he posted a video like 9 years ago on YouTube, and it was about the gangs in Glasgow, and it got me wondering, like, how prominent is that all still, you know, because Scotland and especially Glasgow was named was it knife capital of Western Europe? I know that's insane, you know.
Brilliant. I'm actually going to lose the hat. Getting a bit too warm.
It's coming off.
Getting a bit too warm. A little bit too cozy.
So I'm just tagging you in a post so people can see this video.
Until I melt.
I just put your name, Scott Smith.
Oh, yeah. That used to be my name on Facebook. It was Scott ' Smith.
Right, okay. I remembered that.
I had to get rid of that.
I thought it was a grey one.
Yeah.
Why'd you get rid of it?
Facebook made me. They made me change it. They said that's not your real name.
Wow.
An errant apostrophe, and that got me out. So
talk about 1984.
I know, yeah.
You're not using your real name. You're not allowed on Facebook anymore.
Accountability.
I heard someone said to me that Facebook have profiles for people that aren't on Facebook. Not people that leave. They make like false profiles through data, and they generate profiles, like ghost profiles of everyone.
Well, I know when you sign up to Instagram, it kind of links to your Facebook profile, so you've kind of already got followers or potential people to follow at least. I don't know. I wouldn't put it past them, but
that's very creepy.
It is a bit creepy because then, I feel as though there should be an opt-out element of social media, because there's that whole right to be forgotten thing that was getting banded around last year. You could probably abuse it, to be honest with you. It'd be easy enough to abuse that, but I don't think it's a terrible idea.
No. How forgotten are you though when you say that? Like, did they hold on to any information that you've put forward?
I think it's more in terms of if you're accused of a crime or something libelous was put out about you, that's able to be stricken from the record. So people, like, I think the way it was put across was if you're going for a job interview, someone Googles your name and sees, oh, this person was accused of X, Y, and Z 10 years ago. That's going to harm your chances, even though it wasn't true. It went through the courts and you know. So I can see for that reason, but I can also see people saying stupid stuff and wanting to be let off the hook.
It's just a strange thing. A massive company, having just stockpiling everyone's information, and I know that sounds a bit conspiracy theory, but it's kind of the same with giving your biological information out to these, like, was it 23andMe?
Yeah.
You know, these things and have been like leaked and used for advertisement.
Catching fucking serial killers. Though.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm at odds with this kind of stuff. There's actually a podcast I was watching on the way up here, speaking about in terms of companies like 23andMe and social media, and like they're kind of, on one hand, they're a private company, so they should be able. My opinion is they should be able to say who does and doesn't interact with their platform. This is obviously going into the Alex Jones kicked off of.
Don't worry, it's coming.
Yeah, got a hot take on that one for once. But yeah, on the other hand, it's a public forum. So to what extent? How do we reckon that? Because it is a privately owned company, but it's also used by the public. It's kind of a public service.
Yeah, because it's transcended being a private company.
Exactly.
And it's when something's so widely used, you know, they should be held sort of accountable, I guess. You know, like if Coke started doing, well, Coca-Cola, not, you know, just Coke in general, the fun one. Start to do something that was different and nefarious, you know, keeping information about who's buying Coke, you know, people would be sort of outraged by it, and rightly so. And I think they would do something, because that obviously alters the perception of how people view Coca-Cola, obviously.
I suppose it's a good point, but you can't get banned from Coke, can you?
Probably not. And people just could not have Coke, but there are different brands out there. I mean, how many platforms are there like Facebook out there, and especially when it's so integrated in everyone's lives?
Exactly.
I mean, what other choice have you got?
That's a good point. And then, because this is the element of the Alex Jones thing that I'm a bit at odds with, because they said they banned him. They didn't ban the way.
For anyone that doesn't know what's going on, do you want to sort of preface it for who Alex Jones is?
Oh, that's a hell of a question. So
that is very open-ended.
So
does he even know who Alex Jones is?
I mean, it's almost probably more preferable to speak about who Alex Jones isn't. So Alex Jones is I would probably say he's a right-wing conspiracy theorist. He has said in court documents that he does play a character.
Right.
So there's an element of that as well,
Okay.
and there is an element of entertainment in his work, but. He's the guy, and he was the guy that spoke about Sandy Hook being a conspiracy, and one of the very early 9/11 truthers, and a birther as well. You know, Uriah was born in Kenya. That whole conspiracy theory. And he's been recently kicked off of Apple, iTunes, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Yeah. So all 4 main platforms. And as far as I understand it, as far as Facebook is concerned, he was banned from Facebook, not the Alex Jones profile. But Alex Jones as a person was banned from Facebook. And the reason that they've kicked InfoWars off is because they already banned him. And then he was posting through an admin account on the InfoWars account, and then still showing up on Facebook. Right. And that's why they banned him there. And then the rest of the logic, I don't really understand.
It's funny how they would choose to sort of solely keep him responsible. If you sort of draw a comparison to Roseanne, you know, the whole Roseanne situation.
That rings a bell.
The whole show was cancelled. You know, like why did
Roseanne,
why did they have to sort of cancel the whole show around what she did? You know,
that's an interesting one.
And they don't cancel his show; they just ban him from being on these platforms.
I mean,
and he's probably said a lot more nefarious stuff than Roseanne did when she was ambi-tweeting.
Exactly. I will watch InfoWars from time to time when something major is happening, when there's like something that there's probably a conspiracy theory about. Right. And I'm not going there for news. I'm going there to see what Alex Jones is saying about it, because I'm kind of morbidly interested in what he's saying. Yeah. I mean, I kind of stopped watching InfoWars YouTube material because a lot of it was very clickbait. It was like, you know, oh, we're going to speak about this, but here's 20 minutes about something else. And there's only so many times I can hear the word sheeple used non-ironically before I check out. I don't know the name of the dude, but there's one guy that uses that expression all the time. And it's like, I thought that was a joke. I thought I didn't realize people actually said that, you know.
He seems sort of he says he's playing like a character, and it's almost he's a caricature of himself, you know, because he knows what sells. Like him ranting is. Have you seen the movie Network?
Yes,
it's the 70s movie. You know, people are fascinated by watching someone have what almost can be sort of called a meltdown live on air, and he has to keep performing that. Whereas the guy on Network, you know, he showed that this is what they'll try and do. They're trying to capitalize on something that sells and people's morbid fascination with, and that is Alex Jones. Definitely. And he's continuing to do what the guy did in that movie Network, and trying to profit.
It's a winning formula. Well, apparently not now. I mean, as far as I understand it, he, like Facebook, YouTube, and so on, was kind of supplementary to him putting out material. It's not as if doesn't have a platform anymore. Yeah, he just has less access to kind of our generation, to be honest with you. And I think now he. Do
you think he has an effect on that the younger generation? Do you think it's solely aimed at millennials, maybe?
Being on Facebook, I mean, I think the people who listen to him now know where to find him. A lot of people will have come across his clips on Facebook because they would have come up through the algorithm on YouTube or been shared by someone or something. So I can see. I think that there's that kind of element to it. I don't know enough people that are that kind of politically minded at that age to kind of say whether they're, because it is kind of partially entertainment, but I don't know. The short answer would be I'm not too sure.
But the thing is it entertainment, and is that what they're selling?
Well, I find it entertaining.
But that's
the only thing he's selling is fucking fluoride-free toothpaste
and
dick
gay
pills,
frogs.
You know. Like, here's the thing about the gay frogs, okay? Here's the thing about gay frogs.
That's going to be the quote of the podcast. Yeah. Here's the thing about gay frogs.
Let me explain for you a second about gay frogs.
Are you mansplaining right now?
Person-splaining. I'm a Trudeau fan. So, if I remember correctly, saying that the fluoride in the water is turning the frogs gay is just a really simple way of saying something that's kind of happening. I don't know if it's fluoride actually, but something's happening with the water in a certain place in America. Yeah, I don't think. I think that kind of sums up the Alex Jones situation in a tight bundle. You know, he says stuff that's probably happening in a far too entertaining way, and it kind of becomes more of a joke than a news story.
But one of the things that slightly frustrates me is people defending him. People who are close friends with him. Joe Rogan is an example. He has a podcast as well, and on it he always ends up talking about how in the past he was right about some things. But my view on that is throw enough shit at the wall and some of it's going to stick.
Exactly.
You know, you can talk about everything. I mean, how much stuff does he talk about on his show? You know, there's so much, and even like the most benign stuff as well. He has some interviews, and it's just about completely off-topic things. And I feel like he's had to diversify slightly because he loves Trump. You know, and he can't ride on the coattails of conspiracy anymore because Trump is in presidency.
Exactly, and conspiracies are kind of in as opposed to out. You know, it's not a contrarian point of view to be spouting off conspiracy theories just now because Trump's fucking mental.
Well, he's friends with Trump.
He is indeed. Trump apparently phoned him not long after he got elected and stuff. And I just want to be clear, by no means am I defending Alex Jones here. I don't think he should have been deplatformed the way or at all he was or at all. But I'm not going to sit here and say he's an angel. Yeah. I'm not saying I don't think he does a lot for the political discussion.
It's a freedom. It's a freedom of speech issue at the base of it all.
Pretty much. Yeah.
You know, because who else can be deplatformed?
Exactly.
Even though they say terrible things, but we have to find the framework for how people can say these things and not be prosecuted, you know.
Exactly.
Unless it's racist or whatever, but that can be open-ended as well, you know.
Exactly. And we're kind of seeing this play out now. We're seeing the consequences of some of the I'm trying to think of a good way to put it. The kind of consequences of the behaviour of the kind of new left, so to speak.
Right.
So James Gunn is a good example. This was always going to come up. So of course the whole James Gunn conspiracy, the Trouble debacle, you know, a bunch of old tweets got wrapped up, To me, like I just finished reading Rules for Radicals by Saul Alinsky for like the second time, just very recently. And one big part of that is make them play by their own rules.
Right.
Okay. So my understanding of the James Gunn situation was people on the alt-right looked up some of his old tweets,
right,
and made him accountable for jokes he made in the past, which is what the left has done to the right very, very recently. So I think this is what's happening, and this is what happens with the Alex Jones thing.
Where do you think it came from? Which part of the alt-right was the one that was sort of... Was it a group on Twitter, or is it just people that align themselves in that way, or is it a group of actual people that were out to get James Gunn?
I think it's people who are as fervent with their beliefs on the right as people on the left are. I think it's the two sides of the same coin kind of a situation. I don't know the exact group. I don't know if it was like a group of guys on 4chan or Infinity Chan, like QAnon guys, or whatever.
There's new ones, isn't
there?
there?
There's a bunch of chans now. Yeah, too many.
Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan.
I'm going to start my own chan and call it that.
So this is what I kind of feel is happening. I think this is kind of like well, this is how you want to do it. So, one of your darlings said X, Y, and Z. And then I can't remember who made this point, but it was something I heard either today or yesterday. Like, how long is it before Black Lives Matter and Black Bloc start getting the same treatment? Because you could make the same points about them. I don't want that to happen, but it's kind of made your bed.
But can you go as far as that and try and demolish that by digging up old tweets, because that is such a prominent thing, and it seems sort of altruistic in a way. Black Lives Matter. Who doesn't want people to just have rights? I'm playing devil's advocate, but have rights on any face of it. So do you think even if they dig up tweets by these people, that it would matter? Are they going to start busting anyone because they're saying kill Whitey or whatever?
Yeah, I mean,
we've seen that before. We've seen people saying these things in the black community and Black Lives Matter, and you can't say anything as a white male.
Well,
white, people. Or
what? Punching the mic.
And I'm done.
White male rage.
That's my privilege right there.
A little bit. Where were we? Sorry.
You were sort of saying that what's to stop other groups attacking like Black Lives Matters and bringing up old tweets that they've,
Yeah, well, I mean, how did you feel about James Gunn's tweets? I mean, it just felt like edgy shit posting to me. I mean, it didn't feel like...
Well, when I posted about what had happened, immediately went on to like a whole... I think, who was it? Was it someone that ran for president that posted a bunch of tweets that like a collage of James Gunn tweets? I'm trying to remember. And it was, I read them all, and they're pretty they're poor taste.
Yeah, yeah.
They're pretty terrible. They don't serve any purpose. He's not trying to attack anyone. He's not trying to make a point. He's just being sort of provocative, and that's it.
Edgy shit posting.
Yeah.
It doesn't have much substance. I mean, he's not making any direct calls to action. I mean, he's not, as far as I could tell, he's not violating any of the main freedom of speech kind of caveats. He's not making a direct call to action. He's not, there's nothing that's libelous. I don't think it's a good reason for someone to lose their job. I mean, a point somebody did make to me was that it is Disney, and they are held to it's still fucking Disney. They're still held to a
But what about all the racist stuff that they did in their older movies? There's a bunch of stuff.
Playing devil's advocate, that racism then was of the time. It was kind of not. I'm not saying it's allowable. It was allowable then. Yeah. When James Gunn made those tweets, the reason it's meant to be funny is because it's against the time. So I see your point.
It's going against the grain.
Exactly. So I see your point, but I think that's a slightly different issue.
When you think of it in that sort of guise, then that makes sense. But sort of sidetrack Alex Jones. I mean, there's nothing we can really say that hasn't been said already. He's been sort of, and I don't know what he's going to do from now on. Is he permanently banned or?
What do I want to happen I'd like Facebook, all the four, to backtrack on this, and if they're or show they're working.
Right.
Like, I don't mind if this was done for a good reason. If you can tell me why they decided to take this action individually, and can say, you know, well, he did this, this, and this, and this violates our terms and conditions, I'd kind of be happy with that. The fact that it's just like, oh, well, you know, it's hurtful. He says some, you know, some stuff that's again, you know, it gets kind of against our terms and conditions. Like, what did he say? Like, give me examples. Like, I think we deserve that. Like, dare I say, we're entitled to that. Because I'm not a fan, but it does feel like the beginning of something nefarious, and I'd like for there to be checks and balances in place, basically. That's my...
And it's easy to say this, but where does it stop? There's going to be a lot of creators that might be sort of frightened by what's going on. You know, that they might have their only source of income taken away from them just because they might, like, a company doesn't agree with what they're saying. And that's a grey area.
The YouTube apocalypse, that was a whole thing this time last year it started.
Yeah.
And it affected a lot of the YouTubers I watch, right and left.
Have you seen YouTube has like a paid subscription now, so you can get ad free?
No,
how does that work?
I'll tell you how it works. Download the Firefox browser on your phone.
Are you listening?
You can go on YouTube on that.
Okay.
And then you can listen in the background, apparently, until YouTube patch it.
Right, okay.
Until Firefox.
Uh-oh.
Because
you just told me something that's illegal.
That's not. That's completely legal.
It's a loophole.
I think it's... I don't know if YouTube or Google had a say in this, but I know that the owner of Firefox, the guy who created it, or one of the founders, got ousted because he supported a politician or just outright supported a ban on gay marriage, or went against gay marriage. Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama did exactly the same thing, exactly at the same time. But it kind of infects everything, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a little hot tip for you. If you want to listen to YouTube in the background, I think it even works with your lock screen. Definitely on Android handsets. You can.
So there's an add-on for Firefox?
No, just Firefox.
Or just Firefox?
Just Firefox. Go use the YouTube website from there. And
that's my favourite. I'm a big fan of it. I remember when I was on Mac, maybe 10 years ago, I would use Opera sometimes. That was pretty good. The internet browser's just dog shit.
Yeah, man. We have to use...
when has anyone ever used it?
Oh, you ever used fucking Microsoft Edge?
No.
Oh, jeez. It's fucking terrible.
They keep trying to like give me like ads and trying to get me to download it on this. And I'm like, nope.
Don't do it, man.
Yeah.
They'll destroy you. I mean, a lot of people... I've heard so many people complaining about the forced updates on Windows. I've never had that on Mac. And I've had the same MacBook for fucking 5 years now. Yeah. 4 or 5 years now. Never had a problem with it. I mean, it's out of date now, but it still works absolutely fine. I've got another MacBook as well that's maybe 8 years old. Only issue with that is the cat jumped on it and broke the screen. That's literally the only issue I have.
Moral of the story, cats are cunts.
Yeah. No, my cat's lovely, man. Shogun's
I think I have one from like 2008, maybe 2007. Okay. It might even be like earlier than that because I bought it in 2009 and it was 4 years old at that point. So yeah, it's almost like, 10 years old, 15 years old, and it still turns on. The only problem with it is the fan is gone, so it just overheats instantly. But if I had that fixed, which I won't,
because it'll cost you an arm and a leg. Just sell it to some hipster down in the market,
Well, it might get that way.
Wonder how much you could shift an old iPod for, like an unopened.
I think there was something recently about that. A bunch of people were buying those, and they were going for like stupid amount.
Because somebody on my Facebook came across an old Game Boy Color or something, or maybe an original Game Boy, and it was like, how much would this be worth? People, not as much as you think, man. It's a limited edition ones people want nowadays.
Game Boys sucked.
Man, you could do it on your phone now. That's the thing.
Bing, 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 bing. So yes,
you just fucked with my vision there. I've just got the Tetris effect.
I'm browsing on eBay for a first gen. Might not be able to get on. So first gen. I don't even know. It's all nanos. I'll do the Okay. First generation is going for £99.
Yeah.
That's on eBay. That's pretty good.
About 10 years.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to go through the roof at some point. Because it's...
Well, I mean, vinyl's making a comeback, so who's to say CDs won't? Fucking mini discs, man.
I think CDs won't.
Nah, I still got a bunch of CDs. I still listen to them. I mean, to be fair, I haven't moved the 5 CDs in my CD player and my sound system for years. I don't think I've done it since I moved twice.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but they're 5 good albums. Though.
I'm going to sound like an old granddad here, but it broke my heart when mini discs didn't make it. I was never a mini disc. Really?
No.
God. My whole life was like on a mini disc at one point.
See, you ever seen that graph? It's like, early adopters to laggards. I'm kind of in the middle. I wait until it's like, oh, this is actually working cool,
Well, when I was in high school, I had one, and then I had the actual hi-fi like top as well, so you just put them in. I never bought one. You could buy like singles or albums. I never ever did that, but I would just hook up my 1/4 inch to the TV and record like crying straight to my it was amazing.
That's smart, man. I never thought about that.
But yeah, then I went to America, and then when I came back, everyone at my high school had one, and I was like, you
fucking trendsetter.
And then one person had an MP3 player.
See, I jumped on the MP3 train pretty early. I actually found was that my first? I found an old MP3 player in my drawer the other day. Still has like a bunch of old Dundee bands on there. Fucking the Fall of Us Koalas on there.
But no one ever. It was always CD people sold on. No one ever sort of like were selling like USBs or MP3 sticks with all their stuff on it. No one really took that up. It was very old fashioned, the band scene, I guess. It was always buy this.
I remember a couple of bands kicking about with like a tub of like pen drives. Right. I remember that.
Early hipsters, I guess, maybe.
Proto hipsters.
There's no such thing.
No.
You're just a hipster if you're a proto hipster.
I guess, but what did you call hipsters before you had hipsters,
The old chicken and the egg situation.
It is indeed. I try and think, that's one of the things I go to every now and again. I think the egg came first.
Right.
Because the thing that evolved into the chicken must have given birth to the thing that became the chicken. Okay. Right?
So you're saying something that was live birth?
No. I'm saying, you kind of need to be more specific.
Okay.
What came first, the chicken or the chicken egg? The chicken egg came first.
Okay.
Because
Must be.
the thing that, the genetic variants that happened that made the chicken had to be an egg first, surely.
But a chicken has to mate with a cockerel. That's the sort of format that it goes with. So you have to be able to, when you'd like put like a liger, that is sterile. It can't go on, but those two things can mate. I mean, I wonder if that would happen. You'd have some different version of a chicken.
So the thing that became the chicken. Yeah. There was a point in time where the thing that before chicken became chicken. Right. I'm saying that I think that thing laid an egg, and out of that egg came a chicken or a rooster or whatever. And then that's how I see that whole situation playing out.
The internet says...
Biologists, come get me. I don't care what the internet says.
The internet, the consensus is the chicken... No, okay. Okay. They're saying it's the chicken.
Why?
I'm joking.
Show your working.
show my math. No, it says finally answered, but there's a whole thing. So there's a proto chicken and then a proto hen laid an egg. So
okay. Well, I'll take that.
It's the same with proto hipsters,
Exactly, proto chickens.
Did you see the UFC at the weekend?
I have watched the 2 main fights,
right?
And I've watched I can't decide whether. Everyone thinks it was 2-2 going into the final round with DJ Cejudo. I think, I don't know. I still don't think the 10-point must system is good for MMA. Under the 10-point system, Cejudo won. Yeah. But do I think he won I would need to. It's one of those fights I would need to watch over and over and over and over again.
But you might come to a different conclusion every time you watch it.
Yeah, but I tend to find this when you're judging fights. internally, like, you have a feel for who won the fight.
Right.
But then you have to kind of look at it through the lens of the scoring criteria.
Yeah. That could be completely based on your biases.
It could indeed. That's why I find it, because one fight I like to watch and think about how would I score it under this system is Machida Shogun 1.
Yeah. Good fight.
It's a fucking great fight.
Amazing fight.
Every time I score that fight, I think Shogun won, but he is like one of my favorite. I named my cat after him. He's like one of my favorite fighters.
I thought he was like a little samurai or something.
No, he's a little. In a way, I'm covered in scars.
I can see your arms actually.
Well,
Why would you have a cat
and
if
my
it
nose
gives you scars?
Got scratched in the nose.
It's on the other side. Sorry.
Yeah, it's on there. I usually see it in the mirror.
Oh,
so,
yeah, good save.
Yeah, good save. So yeah.
Yeah, that is a good fight. I don't know. It was a good card.
It was indeed.
On the whole. I think maybe we're just getting to see DJ at the end of his career. You know, how many fights has he had? It's like 30 something. Oh, wait a minute, I'll just check.
He had 9 title defenses, did he not? So
I think it was 11.
11. Jesus. I mean, I know it's also shitty saying it after the fact, but
he's 27, 3-1. So he's had like over 30 fights.
That's a good number of fights, 30 as well. You know.
And yeah,
his only losses are to Cruz, Cejudo, and he lost early in his career.
If you want to talk about an amazing fight, the DJ and Dominic Cruz fight is just unbelievable. I mean, even though DJ got beat, it was such a fucking competitive fight. It was amazing.
The fight with Ian McCall as well.
Yeah.
The first one, the one that should have gone to the extra round. I'm so gutted that never happened. That's the round that never happened. I think a lot of people who watch MMA when they're first into it, they think, why can't they just have one more round just to decide? Yeah. And that's the one situation where that could have happened.
Yeah.
It fucking didn't. So annoying, man.
Yeah, I think maybe we're just starting to see him age, take place. I guess it's got to happen at some point.
It happens, yeah. I didn't feel like a passing of the guard, though. I don't think he's slowing down. That was still a split, a close split.
It didn't seem like the normal DJ, though. It felt like he was off. Maybe he was having an off night. This happens when you've done 10, 11 title defenses.
But this is what I like to call an Anderson Silva versus Uriah Hall.
Right.
It's a fight nobody fucking wanted. Nobody wanted to see DJ Cejudo too.
Yeah.
Cejudo earned it.
Yeah.
And he stylistically changed a lot, which is what you want to see. But nobody wanted to fucking see that fight.
And is his title defenses, DJ's, sometimes people can call them into question because it's a lot of people, because it's a small... The weight bracket is a small pool of fighters, so people who have a couple of good fights will end up being in contention for the title. So yeah, a lot of people say the quality of his matchups is not that great. So
I disagree. I've always enjoyed his fights.
I thought they were awesome as well.
But look what happened to welterweight after GSP left. Look what happened to middleweight after Anderson left. When a dominant champion gets toppled, it's generally good for the division because it creates a power vacuum.
Excuse me? GSP got toppled?
He didn't get toppled. You're right. He didn't get toppled. He retired.
He looked like he got toppled.
He got beat by Johnny Hendricks.
The Belly Hendricks.
Yeah, he got. Yeah.
This was pre Golden Snitch as well. So
it was indeed. But to a larger point, I was trying to make was, I didn't want to see Cody TJ too either.
No.
TJ made a great point right after the first fight. I had to work my way up. He had to fight John Lineker, Sun Tzu, who had beat TJ before.
Yeah.
And then someone else he fought as well, I think, before he got back to Cody. Cody got there straight away after a knockout loss.
I think the UFC were putting a lot of stock in Cody. I think, I think they thought that he was going to be a star, just obviously with his looks and his sort of, but no, I think we just, I don't know. I don't think I would watch another Cody fight.
No, we missed out on TJ versus DJ. That's the fight that should have happened. I mean, the whole reason that TJ versus DJ wasn't going to happen was because DJ was injured.
Yeah.
They ended up fighting on the same card.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't we get that fight? I mean, they're doing Khabib and Conor at the latest possible interval they could have. Nobody would have waited. I don't think anyone would have wanted to wait another. I think they were 1 week away from being like, fuck.
Yeah. People have lost interest.
Yeah. They're speaking about GSP Anderson now as well.
I don't want to see that.
Neither do I. Brendan Schaub put it perfectly. It's like getting told your taxi's just arrived. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
That's a point I've made so many times and had to delete the post because it just gets shat on. But it's like, yeah.
It's 5 years too late for the GSP and the Anderson Silva fight. It's just not one I want to see.
And this doesn't happen in boxing.
Yeah.
I can't think of fights in boxing that we didn't end up seeing. But as MMA fans, we never got Randy Fedor.
Yeah.
We never got Brock Fedor. We never got GSP Anderson.
Never got Fedor or anything in the UFC.
Fedor in the UFC. Are we clear as to why that is? No. People want to blame Vadim, what's his name? And they want
M1 guy?
Yeah, M1 guy. And they want to blame Dana White. I know who my money's on. But like, it's probably some of both parts. But yeah, it's just this is the point I made on the last when I was on with Kieran last time. It's just every time we get our hopes up, they get dashed, and it's like every time it's like, oh, I think casuals and hardcores alike want to see TJ DJ.
Yeah,
and it's probably too late now. I mean,
do you want to see it still?
I still want to see it, but again, it's like you better get that shit booked in the next 4 months because it's going to pass. And
do you think it's slightly tarnished by this decision at the weekend? By him getting beat, there's nothing. Could TJ have been the flyweight title holder? Is it flyweight? No.
TJ was speaking about dropping down 125
because he wanted to fight DJ at that. Or would it be a catch weight? I'm not sure. Supposedly TJ can make the weight.
So here's a hot take for you. Here's a hot take. People don't like the term super fight, okay, and we're kind of entering into the super fight era right now because we're getting, Cormier, Stipe, we got GSP, Bisping.
Not really a super fight.
GSP at middleweight in general, I think, was like a super fight.
Yeah.
But
it was a super fight against middleweight as opposed to actually Bisping.
Exactly, the Anderson of his day. I think they should bring back the super fight belts. I think
they used to have them?
Yeah, Dan Severn was a super fight champion.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure Ken Shamrock was, and I don't know if I was Gracie one.
But they didn't have the same weight classes at that point, though.
They didn't, and this is my point. As much as it's cool to have Cormier as the heavyweight and the light heavyweight champion, and both divisions are really weak and could probably survive having one person as both champions.
Yeah,
it's not great. It only works because Cormier is probably going to retire before he loses those belts, or he probably will retire at least one of them. So that kind of 2 birds, 1 stones it. But a belt brings prestige to a fight. It's an excuse for it to be a 5-rounder, despite it being the main event.
Yeah. I
think that would be a good idea to have who won the super fight between, and then you could have the belt with the fight name on it, because that's what they did with McGregor Mayweather. They fought for a belt.
Yeah, of course. Imagine. But do you think what's the word I'm looking for? Illegitimizes it. It's not really something they're fighting for. That they've battled numerous people in a division to get to the top of the hill. It's just a belt. I don't think people care about the belt really.
They don't know, but
it's the fight.
It's a spectacle. It's prize fighting, and that's a good prize to fight for. And it's bragging rights, and it's
money.
Exactly, money, exactly. And the UFC is famously thrifty. But I kind of. I'm trying to think how to put it. They kind of started with the McGregor Mayweather belt. That's where I kind of got the idea. And then they're kind of handing out like the Colby Covington situation. That's one that irks me. Yeah, because I would have watched Colby Covington versus Rafael dos Anjos without a belt on the line. I had no problem watching that fight. It was an interesting fight. I don't see what's the point in. Yeah,
they're too quick to sort of implement the interim belt, which is just frustrating. Because there's going to be a wait till anything really happens, and it holds up the division. Whether it's on purpose or not, it's frustrating to watch people fighting for interims. You're like, well, I'm not really bothered. Just have them fight.
Exactly.
It's the same with like McGregor. It's like, but talking about McGregor, this is going to be amazing with the Khabib and McGregor.
I go so back and forward with that fight, and that's it's a good fight because you're thinking if Khabib gets his hands on him, he's going to smash him. But
it's the perfect timing for it as well because we're starting to see. Yeah, like that division's going to be held up. Khabib, he's beat pretty much everyone, and it either takes out. I think Dana White does really strategic fights where he takes out someone that maybe he finds a bit boring in the division by pitting him against a tough fight, but not someone who's highly ranked. I think Dana's taken Poirier out by having him fight Nate Diaz. Yeah, because Nate's a draw.
Indeed, and if Nate wins, he's right back in there.
And I don't think Poirier's a massive draw. And I think he strategically takes out these people that don't bring in the numbers, who are on the verge of getting to a title shot. I think he's trying to do it with who's the welterweight champ?
Tyron Woodley.
Yeah, like he's trying to take him out because he's talking a lot. And do people really find him exciting? I don't think so.
This is a point I find difficult to make because I kind of feel like I'm complaining about.
Well, you shouldn't.
I should never complain. I kind of feel like this is, they should fight harder. They should try and knock each other out. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I am saying is, I stayed up until fucking 6 in the morning watching that fight.
Yeah.
You know what fight I'm talking about? Tyron Woodley versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
The second one or the first one?
Both. But the second one was particularly bad. I stayed up till 6 in the fucking morning watching that fight. And I wasn't the only one. I mean, think about it, most fans around the world are staying up. If they're watching it live, they're up at a ridiculous time in the morning or during a lot of people are watching it early in the morning or late at night. Just really annoyed me. He did something recently as well, Tyron Woodley. I can't remember what it was. It's just speaking about, he speaks about fighting more than he actually fights. And it's this whole, this fight's booked. No, it's not. Well, I'm not.
I think he knows his time's limited at that belt, and I think he's just trying to generate the number and as much tension as possible, and get as much money and as much people viewing his fights as possible by just talking shit a lot of the time. And I guess more people would want to see him get smashed than him win, I guess, maybe. But he's not got the dislikability that much for people to tune in to actually want that.
I
think Colby's got that more.
Yeah, definitely.
Or did. I mean, till Joe Rogan removed the facade and pull back the curtain of Oz to show that this is all a gimmick.
You're right. Maybe I do hold fighters to too high of a standard.
Well, don't we all?
Maybe.
But yeah, to drop back to Khabib and Conor, that is a tough one to call,
Yeah, because it's like if Khabib gets his hands on him, but like if Khabib gets his hands on him, because he is quite slow. That's what TJ was saying recently. Everyone's saying Conor's just going to zip out and punch him, and
it's tough.
That'll be it. But then Khabib's there's so many unknowns. It's gonna be a good fight.
One of the big things I noticed about Khabib is he never takes anyone down in the center of the cage. He always shoots to the edge of the cage, and who's got the best movement, and I think Conor's got one of the best. I think who was one of his early fights when he fought the sort of the black guy, the smaller black guy,
Marcus Brimage.
Yeah, like his movement stepping backwards, he just and the uppercuts and the hooks. It was just beautiful to watch.
Yeah, I love that fight. I watched that fight.
That is just so slick. Slow, slick.
And that was his first fight in the UFC. That was like, who's this guy?
I'd been following him for a while, so
I'd heard I think Kieran had actually told me to check him out.
I saw his last 2 Cage Warrior fights, and there was a bit of talk that maybe he was going to give it up because he wasn't getting the call. But he's fantastic.
Because he was talking a lot of shit online, wasn't he? He was like a big shit poster back in the day, was he not?
Of course he is. Yeah, now he keeps his mouth shut because he wants to keep all his millions. Do you think some of this is staged though, leading up to the Khabib and Conor fight? I saw some footage recently of Khabib telling a homeless man, like giving him money to do like press ups.
Yeah,
that's a strange one. I think they're trying to generate, more interest somehow. These things always happen to come out when they have a massive fight.
Yeah, I mean, when was that footage taken? Was it taken recently, or was it? See, this is the question.
There's no context. It could be just him. Some homeless guy might have been like, "Oh, champ, look at you," and he's like, I could beat you or whatever." And then maybe Khabib was like, "I'll give you $5 to do as many press ups as you can now." Yeah, that could have been the context.
It could just be,
or it could have been as terrible as it looks.
or just a misguided sense of humor.
Yeah.
It could be a situation that you could say to Khabib, "Hey, mate, have you considered that this might be a shitty thing to do?" Yeah, that happens to me all the time. You know, like someone else points something out, and I never thought about it that way. I should apologize to that person. So it does happen. You know, it's not. They are infallible. Yeah, fallible. Rather.
Fallible.
When you're, I guess, I don't know. I think you just made me realize I maybe hold fighters to do sometimes.
Yeah, it can happen. You know, I don't know. I've just seen it so many times. These people that have been pushed to the upper echelons and admired by so many. I think everyone was in that position with Conor when he first fought Nate. You know, we all thought this is going to be amazing. He's just going to knock Nate out and do the unthinkable. You know, I don't even think Nate's been knocked out before, has he?
Josh Thompson.
Right, yeah.
Josh Thompson caught him with like a fucking a volley. It's going overhead.
Oh yeah,
kick.
it was like a high left, was it, or right?
Actually, funnily enough, it wasn't too dissimilar from the Eve Edwards knockout. Josh Thompson's famous fucking posterized Eve Edwards knockout wasn't too dissimilar from that. And I think Nick Diaz threw the towel into the cage.
Oh yeah.
Which I found out is actually not a thing.
What, doesn't matter if they do that?
Because the whole point in throwing the towel...
It's not in boxing, though.
Yeah, that's what it is in boxing. Well, the whole point of throwing the towel in is to force a DQ. That's apparently where it comes from, because you're basically just deliberately breaking the rules just to stop the fight. But apparently that's not a thing. Apparently what you're meant to do, if I remember correctly, is if you want to start that process, you, as the trainer, you start walking up the steps, so you stand on the steps and wait until the referee if the referee sees you, and then you can kind of make a signal, and that's a signal to start the fight, something like that. Like,
he's crying.
He's like,
on the inside.
He doesn't know this one. So yeah, that's why I think that's meant to go.
Right. Yeah. You think they would incorporate it, because they took a lot of stuff from boxing out. Yeah. Because obviously that was the main model at that time when they first came around with the sort of the rules.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, it is a weird thing just to throw in a white towel. Do you think it started off that same way with boxing? Like, it was just, if you throw it in, it was a DQ because something unexpected happened, and then eventually it gets like pulled into the rules where it's like, oh, you know, if you throw this, that means he's out.
I mean, just complete conjecture saying a white towel. I'm thinking maybe the waving the white flag factors into it as well.
Yeah, the French.
Exactly. With the French.
Like
you really had a hard time, there, didn't you, man? I actually listened to that podcast
I hated
as well.
doing French in high school. Maybe that's it.
And just because they had shit beer and
it was terrible, honestly.
Like I've never been to France. I've been through Charles de Gaulle a couple of times. But I've never actually been to France before.
It's pretty crazy. It's one of the busiest airports I've ever been to, but just none of the infrastructure. You know, we went there and there was so many people. It was so thick. It was like the Fringe when you're trying to walk down the street, but there's no shops, there's no beer to get in the airport, so you're just stuck just watching people, which is fun in itself, but not when you're like red-eyeing it.
Yeah. See, I've never done a red eye. I've never left Europe, really. I've been to Georgia in Eastern Europe. That's about as far as I've been.
What do you mean? In a few years you'll be leaving Europe all the time when you come back?
No, because Scotland will rejoin the EU as an independent country.
Okay. I didn't know that's what was going to happen.
Fucking better.
Yeah. So, how are you going to say? What's your sort of suggestion? Your pick for McGregor and Khabib? Smithy's picks.
I'm not going to stand by this. So
you're going by Conor.
It depends how I feel each day. Put it that way. I want to say Conor.
Yeah.
The way I see it playing out is Khabib's quite clumsy closing the distance, and Conor was able to take advantage of that with very elite strikers and people with better kind of in-ring movement. I don't see Khabib out footworking Conor into a corner and taking him down, as you said.
Yeah.
If it hits the ground, that's that round lost.
Yeah.
So it might be one of these fights where it's kind of a regression in a way, where it's like either the striker gets something off early or, you know, he's getting fitched.
You know, wrestle fucked for the rest of the round.
I still like watching fights.
I thought his fights were good.
Yeah,
you know, it was one I saw. He was an acquired taste. As I got older and I started to know the rules more and understood the individual sports, as it were. He became like a favorite of mine, just because he was an absolute monster. Yeah,
and just impossible to submit. And you know, I need to be in the mood to watch a John Fitch fight. I will admit
that
it was a 20-minute nap when a John Fitch fight. Although bringing it back to Johnny Hendricks, John Fitch at UFC. I can't remember which event it was. It was the New Year card. I remember because I stayed up to watch the Dream card.
Is that when he knocked out Fitch?
Yeah, when he knocked him out. Yeah, I thought, John Fitch fight. I'm going to go for a nap because I was going to stay out to watch Dream in the morning. So I was going to be up until like fucking 12 in the morning in the afternoon watching MMA. And I thought I'll grab a quick half an hour now. And I just remember hearing Joe Rogan fucking screaming. I thought,
I can't believe he went to sleep during that fight.
Because I knew I was going to watch it later on. I knew it was probably going to be fucking 15 minutes, 20 minutes. So I thought, well, if I'm going to sleep, I might as well sleep now.
Yeah, it was a great fight.
It was.
Hendricks had some great knockouts. You know, some great fights, and then just he can't put it together anymore. And that some people think it's due to whatever he might be on. You know, he was able to make weight at those points, I guess, and then got worse, progressively worse at trying to cut weight.
Because when the golden snitch came in, he was probably on steroids.
Of course.
It's not the insult people think it is.
No.
Because people do it, and there are some people I've spoken to who do use steroids and are fairly candid about it. I mean, they're not fighters. You know, they're just guys, but
they're just guys.
Just guys.
Here are people that
and girls, you know.
Crossfairs.
No comment. So, but yeah, like I don't think it's super controversial to say that Johnny Hendricks was probably taking something.
Probably.
I
mean, we can only, like Nick Diaz says, 95% of them are on something.
Oh, you motherfuckers on steroids. That's what Jeff Monson said. This is kind of where this whole steroids conversation started with me. It was Kieran one day sent me an article, or at least told me about an article where it wasn't Jeff Monson. It was Krzysztof Szysinski,
right?
Who used to be a bodybuilder.
Yeah,
was like, yeah, they're on steroids. Like I know what it looks like. I know they are.
Right. The big one for me is the traps. If someone has massive traps, I mean, you don't see it as much in MMA because you're not using that type of part of your body, so it's not something. I mean, who would have them? Thiago Alves, he had big traps.
Ken Shamrock back in the day.
Well, obviously.
Ken Shamrock had that thing where he looks like a smaller person standing in front of a bigger person. Like his pecs, and he's got his traps.
Yeah, that's such a weird thing when someone has such prominent. It looks like someone's in a bodysuit, like a sort of biological mech suit.
Like a skinny person.
Yeah. When they have massive traps.
But is that whole traps bulging thing, the whole traps getting huge, is that not bro science? Is that not like... Because I remember somebody telling me that it's something to do with testosterone receptors, but the term testosterone receptors just
confusing.
Sounds fucking bro sciencey. Yeah, bro, it's like your testosterone receptors and your A and Bs and your phytonutrients.
It comes down to bro science for sure, but I think it is the thinking and the thought process through it is semi-logical, I guess, you know, because it is something, a part of the body and a muscle that is very notoriously hard to build unless you're focusing on it completely. And I guess a lot of these guys that are fighting are not doing that. No. Unless you're gifted, like I mean, who would we say is gifted? The Cuban Superman, what's his name?
Hector Lombard.
Yes. No.
No, Yoel Romero.
Yes. Yeah. He has massive traps as well, but...
No comment.
What do you think about that one?
You know, he's Yoel Romero. I started listening to Rob Whiteford.
You've got him on the brain.
No, fucking don't.
Sorry,
Rob
just to bring it into what you were saying. This is on the internet, of course. It says, as a result of the high concentration of androgenous receptors in the trapezius muscles and the shoulder girdle, the two areas just blow up to the enormous proportions when people start taking anabolic steroids.
Okay, so it is a
Large
good
traps coupled with 3D deltoids are sure sign of steroid use.
Surely all muscles are 3D.
But you would hope, because then you would just slip through door cracks and cracks in the street.
Parts of you. So good sound work. Good
That
sound
was
work,
a very was it Roger Rabbit?
Yeah. Someone's been to improv class.
No.
So good space work. So Yoel Romero, Rob Whittaker famously said that in his second fight, he just felt like he was made of steel.
Yeah.
It's like, well, he's like, tell me what you did, because I want that. I want to feel like steel.
Sorry,
good.
No, go ahead.
I'm disappointed he's staying at middleweight. He had his first loss at 205. He lost to Rafael, I think it's Brazilian, Rafael Cavallo.
Right.
He lost to him. Funnily enough, he actually lost to him using the high kick to spin and back fist combo that he knocked Jacare down. He actually lost by that.
That was a good combo as well.
It's a very good combo. Seems very obvious, but it fucking works.
That's anything when it knocks someone out, you're like, oh, that's obvious.
The first spinning back fist in MMA, as far as I'm aware, was done that way. Shoney Carter versus Matt Serra. Twice, I think he did that to him, in fact. And it was a spinning hit, missed high kick to spinning back fist.
Yeah.
Yoel Romero, disappointed he's staying at middleweight. I think he should go up to 205.
Because he missed his fight, the weight against, who was it? Robin Whittaker. You know, that is, how can you even be allowed to still fight for a title fight? I mean, how many other people have managed to do that? Miss weight for a title fight and then not be able to fight for that anymore.
So I think.
Did it not happen to Chad Mendes? Did he not miss one at a title fight? It would have been against Jose, so
he's fought Jose Aldo twice. No, because both of them were title fights.
Right, okay.
That first fight was fucking amazing.
Amazing.
That turning knee. I mean, he was grabbing the cage. But
how glad are you that Jose is back? He's definitely back on something. You know, his skin, his form, like he just looks like the old. Yeah. Well, he is old, but the young Jose Aldo.
So just like stylistically, because like the technique side of MMA is something I'm kind of still fuzzy on, because I've not done a whole lot of training.
Yeah.
But one thing that comes to me as a layman, and someone who reads Jack Slack articles, and Lawrence Kenshin, because he's fucking brilliant. What I feel happened there was the Dutchy combo.
Yeah.
The kind of left hook to the right low kick.
Straight right, uppercut to the body, and then the low kick is the Dutchy one.
Exactly. People, I think, discounted the body shot.
Yeah.
And went to check, and that's how he caught him.
It's a hard one to pull off. It's one I do. It was part of my repertoire for a while when I was sparring a lot, but in the fight, it was just something that never came out, because there's that threat of the takedown if you're getting in close, or knees, or taking the plum and getting kneed in the head or whatever. But
not fun.
Not that I've ever had that, but I think it is something that's sort of neglected a lot in MMA. I think even uppercuts sometimes, I remember just that everyone I see fight just throw a lot of straights. I mean, that is the game, because you want to keep your distance. You don't want to engage at this 3/4 length where you're sort of ready to wrestle. There's levels to that. But I guess it's just the uppercut. And eventually the body shot like that is just, it's amazing. It is a boxer sort of tool as well. So just to see Jose use that, because we know he has power.
Yeah, he definitely does, and great jiu-jitsu. I mean, Jose Aldo was a jiu-jitsu guy.
Yeah,
that had leg kicks.
Yeah,
and just became, because he was a soccer player. I listen to too much American media.
He was a football player.
He was a football.
He's fine.
Played football.
Hate the ball.
Hate the ball.
Yeah, his leg kicks were just ferocious. Yeah. But when he started to face high-level wrestlers, he started to reel it back a bit. I think it coincided with when he said he's the champion and he doesn't want to let go of the belt. So he was fighting a bit safer, because he was a complete wild man when he was younger. Sorry, I'm going to go for a bathroom break.
No.
Just waiting for you to put your headphones on. God, you were late to come to the podcast. Now you're late.
I was not late. I was 2 minutes early.
It's the story of your life.
I got fucking lost. Edinburgh's an interesting city, especially this time of year. Oh, yeah,
it's crazy with the fringe.
It's the only time I can really stand Edinburgh, if I'm honest with you. Because like living in Glasgow for 10 years will naturally poison you against Edinburgh.
Or anyone.
Yeah, pretty much. Living here for 10 years probably poisoned you against Edinburgh. Like I don't know what it is. It's just I just seem to enjoy it a lot during the fringe.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like there's a buzz about it. But if you live in Edinburgh, it's notoriously terrible trying to walk down the street, and there's just people lapsadaisically walking in front of you so slow. And then there's like 3 wide of people, you know, a whole family or whatever, and you're trying to get down the street, and they're just looking around like, oh my God, there's Harry Potter or whatever.
So as much as I value personal freedom and personal choice, you know, as much as I identify with libertarianism, if I was in charge, we'd have fucking walking lanes. There would be lanes in the street to say, if you're in a rush, walk in this lane. If you're not, walk in this lane. If you're on your phone, here you go. If you're walking as a group of 3, there we go.
But that means you would have to sort of make the streets even smaller for cars to go through in Edinburgh. And because you're trying to put a modern infrastructure of traffic through an old, and a very old town, that is going to be tough.
I still feel like it's better if you
start picking holes at everything. Then
like I would be
a jumping off point.
I would be less annoyed, so it's a good thing. So
just take cars off the road and walk down the streets.
Better for the environment.
Yes.
You see, this is the thing. I tend to find the smartest, well, not the smartest, the
simplest,
the best solution is often very fucking expensive. Like me and my friends a couple of weeks ago were trying to tease apart the whole transgender bathroom issue, the unisex bathroom issue. Because I was out for drinks with a couple of friends, and there was a trans person in the group of friends, and they kind of had to use the disabled bathroom. Well, they didn't have to, but they felt they had to.
Felt more comfortable.
I mean, they were, by my account, they were definitely passing, but you know, I can see where the issue comes from. So this kind of became a discussion a couple of days later, because I kind of brought up, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. And what I think we kind of landed on was a good thing to do would be to have, well, it kind of boils down to choice. Like, I still think we should have male and female bathrooms.
I don't.
But have a unisex bathroom as well.
I think the unisex option is the main one to go for.
But it's not an option, because if you're only given a unisex bathroom, you're taking away choice. Like this is something that I've said since I was.
But what is the choice?
Well, the choice is you can use the male, the female,
but
or the unisex.
Why do you want to choose to go male or female?
Because this is one of the whole reasons I asked that question for the You and Laura episode. Like, why do we need gendered spaces?
Yeah.
To put it succinctly, I don't like shitting in front of women or shitting near women or shitting.
I don't like doing that in front of anyone.
But like, it just doesn't feel. I just don't. Naturally, I feel uncomfortable about it.
Right.
And I think.
Is it just women or people in general?
People in general, but there's a.
So it's a people issue.
There's a particular discomfort around. You know. I'm being honest. Shitting around women, women being around me when I just instinctually I don't like the idea, and I think that is a valid enough point that doesn't really need to be. Feel free to ask, but it doesn't need to be teased apart for me just to say I'm not comfortable with this. A viable solution is a third option. This is something that.
But what would be the difference with you living with a partner and that happening? You know,
because I know them. Because they're not a stranger. They're not my sport colleagues. They're not. They're somebody who knows me well enough.
Yeah.
That isn't gonna. I'm not worried that it's gonna.
But everyone does it.
I know everyone does it, and I'm not saying it's rational. I'm just saying that
it's a rational fear.
It's naturally, just instinctually, I'm uncomfortable with it, and I think that.
And you're more than you can be like that. Obviously, you know, it's your choice to be like that. You know, as long as it's not harming anyone else.
Exactly.
That's the issue.
And this is what it comes down to. Because like something I've always thought since I was really, really young is you very rarely get equality by removing rights from other people, or removing something from someone. You generally get further down that line if you afford a choice to someone or afford a right to someone.
Yeah.
And I just feel like I know it's financially a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
And there's like existing infrastructure.
Yeah.
So maybe this would apply to new buildings and stuff. But the point we kind of landed on was a third option. Like if there's people who want to use a male bathroom, a female bathroom, and there's people who want to use a unisex bathroom. Account for both if you can.
Yeah.
That's probably the most rational way to go about it.
I find it strange that it comes down to that. Like, why not just have, not call it like a unisex bathroom, just call it a toilet or a bathroom, you know? Like, anyone can use it.
I mean, yeah.
Even kids, fucking even a cat or a dog, you know, it's a bathroom. And then when you start throwing a label on it, that's when it becomes a sort of an issue.
Because the point we kind of came to was...
Is this the last time, or that when you were talking to your friends?
Yeah, this is when this part of the same conversation.
Your real friends.
My real friends. hey, I'm not playing favourites. So another point... I kind of lost my train of thought.
You were talking about how separate bathrooms
are
a third option.
Yeah, so...
Afford people...
Like, if you break it down to the kind of minutiae, you break it down to what actually happens when person X walks into the bathroom.
Yeah.
They're probably going to use the fucking cubicle. I mean...
And what about having a bathroom for people who don't feel comfortable with it, which is a unisex one? So you have the male and female, and the ones that are for people who are not comfortable doing either.
Then you have the unisex bathroom.
Yeah.
I mean, just now, this is the issue I was trying to resolve in that conversation was more, not trans people who don't feel like they're passing or who don't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Don't have to use the disabled bathroom.
Okay.
Because it just instinctually just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
You know, I think
to you though.
To me,
yeah.
and I don't think that's difficult to get your head around. If I'm honest with you.
So would you choose not to go to the bathroom if it was just solely unisex and there were other women coming in, you know, when you're using it?
I would probably pee in a unisex bathroom.
Right.
And I'd probably shit in a male bathroom. But if like I was bursting... oh, shit.
He's knocking over the hashtag Ladybeard poster.
Sorry, Ladybeard.
Brian Gallagher, who was on, Fringe comedian,
Listening
who was on last year. He's not listening. He's probably getting drunk somewhere in Edinburgh.
Good lad. Imagine that.
Great beard.
Great beard. Envious. A little bit.
Beard envy.
Beard envy.
It's funny how it boils, the way it's so... It causes so much issues, and it comes down to something so simple as a bathroom, you know.
Indeed.
And why does that cause so much conversation and debate? Like, why? Like, it's just a thing that everyone does. And I know you feel uncomfortable with it, and there'll be people on the other side that feel uncomfortable with interacting with you in those situations, you know. But at the same time, going to the bathroom in not public, but in an enclosed space in a public setting is always uncomfortable. I hate it. Like, I never, ever do those things not at home. You know, just, going to go for a pee, that's fine, you know, but just, it always made me feel uncomfortable at school. You know, I never did it. It was just a weird thing for me.
I'm kind of the same school of thought.
I always sort of, empathize with a shitbrick from American Pie. Yes, you know how he says indeed. He never ever did a shit at school, and the one time he goes is like terrible for him.
Yeah, I sympathize with that. It's an intimate thing, not kind of no. But yeah, I'm very conscious of the fact that, you know, this conversation and the conversation I had before was.
Is it a trans issue or is it a you issue?
This is kind of what I was getting at. Like, it's a me issue in that this is how I feel about it. This is what I feel is the most kind of rational, if not most cost-effective solution to it, or the most realistic solution, because it would be changing a lot of existing infrastructure. But I'm very conscious of the fact that conversation and this conversation, it's two and or a group of I like cisgender people speaking about it. I actually speaking about it just now just came very aware of the fact that I've never really spoken. Sorry, I'm meant to be closer.
You're getting more animated and keeping away from the microphone. Yeah, continue. Sorry.
I feel like this is something I should speak to, or at least get an inside track on from someone who is trans, because I know how I feel about it.
Yeah.
But I guess it affects them. I should, Ken. So yeah,
that is, yeah, it's a hard one. I mean, you probably wouldn't be able to do anything in your life if you had to get sort of, you know, the inside scoop from everyone in your life that you've come across, that when you've done something. Like, I think as mature adults, and this is the thing when you see sort of that aggressive feminism, they're like, oh, you know, you're not a woman, so you'll never know. But we're all rational. Like, when we're rational people, we can sort of empathize and guess, or, you know, as a human who's hurting, you can feel that, you know. So everyone, you don't have to have, you know, a vagina only to speak about those things. Everyone can come to the conversation with these, you know, and have an opinion. It might be bullshit, but at least have one, you know.
Definitely, or at least consider it, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm just very aware of the fact that this is, you know, an issue that doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
That I've developed.
Well, it does.
Opinion.
In a way,
it might do.
Yeah.
It might affect me. At the moment, it doesn't. It might do, but the whole issue of trans bathrooms isn't an issue that really affects me in real time, and it's something I've developed kind of an opinion on, and I'm just trying to think. Isn't the real
thing with transitioning is to sort of become that sex? So to have a trans bathroom, that is you identifying solely as a trans person.
But there's a lot of people statistically, there's not a lot of people.
Yeah.
There are
of course.
A group of people who don't identify as either. And that's as legitimate as, in my opinion, anyway, it's as legitimate as identifying as male or female, whether you were born male or female.
But there's examples of everything in the world, though, you know.
Yeah.
Like, you can find them anywhere, but along the lines that these people who want to become that other sex, or are that other sex, and that's just what, you know, they're born that way, or it's a decision they've come to later on in life, that is something that they're trying to take up, you know, and to be solely just labelled as trans, that might be sort of weird to them as well.
But there is also the transitionary period. But I'm not saying this should be a trans bathroom, I'm saying it should be a unisex bathroom.
Because if you see a bunch of people going in the trans bathroom, then that might be sort of weird to someone to have to go in there because they're not being treated like...
But this comes down to the kind of minutiae of the situation. Because even in that situation, even a trans man walks into a male bathroom.
Yeah. Sounds like the start of a joke. An Irishman walks into a bar
and says,
ouch.
So like, a trans man walks into a male bathroom. He's probably not going to use the urinal.
Right.
I mean, even if they've had bottom surgery, as far as I'm aware, you can't urinate through it.
Okay.
So they'd be using the cubicle. Reverse that situation. A trans woman walks into a female bathroom.
Yeah.
She's probably going to use the cubicle because women don't use urinals. So, you know, as far as I'm aware.
How many cubicles are there generally? Like, what's the most you've ever seen? I think 5 is the one. Maybe the Overgate, which is a shopping centre in Dundee. The most I've seen is 6. What would it take to make those enclosed and just bathrooms?
Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that, Darren. It is important. Above all, fuck all this transgender nonsense. Cubicles should be closed spaces.
Yeah.
Having just a fucking plasterboard
where you can bust your hand underneath and like high five your friend.
Exactly. That's just like shitting in an open room. I'm sorry, guy.
Well, it's like
not having it.
I'm sure the Romans did that.
Yeah, the Romans in fucking 1 BC, 1 AD, you know. Yeah, on yourself, son. 2018 AD. I want the facsimile of a room. I want a small room.
Yeah.
You know, I want it to be
closed
segregated.
Space. Yeah.
Quiet as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe this is just a bone of contention with my new office.
Just to bring it back to MMA, I don't know if you've heard this guy, McDojo Life. He does the videos of funny of this sort of cult MMA videos, like it's people like falling over when they get stunned by chi.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember Joe Rogan was talking about him?
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of these videos, yeah.
He did like a post on Instagram. I'm not sure who it was, but he said, whose podcast should I be on? Someone commented, say, my podcast.
Fantastic.
And he was like, do you want to have me on?
Yeah.
And he's like, coming on in a few weeks. Have to do it by Skype, obviously.
That's
because he's in America. And I was like,
I will definitely check that out.
Check out the videos though. They're hilarious.
That's awesome. I like this though. I like that this is becoming a thing, because another big point that Joe Rogan and other people have made as well is that MMA is the one thing that kind of demystifies martial arts. Yeah. But you still have these enclaves of people who say, but like, you can't fight in the UFC because it's too deadly. You see, original Japanese jiu-jitsu, it was all eye rakes and stuff. You couldn't do that.
Terrible.
They wouldn't let you. It's too dangerous.
Same with Aikido. That was a massive one.
So,
and then utter bullshit.
What's your man's name again? Sorry,
McDojo Life.
So McDojo Life and Pinkman is another guy who does something very similar. He does videos. He did a great video about Frank Dukes. The guy from the kickboxer based on.
Yeah.
That shit never happened. He did the maths.
Really?
Yeah, he did the maths. He worked out basically like the way the guy explained how the tournament worked. We needed like 5,000 people, like 2,000.
So it was him talking about the movie The Kickboxer, the real guy that fought in that competition. Yeah. Is that Committee? Was it Committee?
Committee, yeah.
Committee, hey.
No, Committee, yeah.
Committee.
Because that's the thing. Like, there are things that guys that fight like 100. It's like 100 people. I don't know what the criteria for. Did we not speak about this on the last podcast? I
think we did.
Yeah, like what's the criteria?
And we came to the conclusion that it had to be 100 people, or no? I think it was someone.
I think you got 100-man committees.
Someone from Aberdeen, Mark Howe. Mm-hmm. He fought in a 100-man committee. Mm-hmm. Have you heard of him, Mark Howe?
I've heard the name.
Yeah. And that's how he got his black belt for like a legit type of karate. I think it was me and not me. Kieran and I, or me, were talking about it on the last podcast.
Kieran and me, it would be. No,
Kieran and me.
Kieran and I, because if you take Kieran out of the it would still make grammatical sense if you take Kieran out.
I love saying when someone always assumes something. Now I love saying never assume. It makes an ass out of you and I. Because
I say the ump will shun you.
The what?
The ump will shun you.
The ump.
Yeah, I don't know where I got that from. Don't make an assumption. Or the ump will shun you. I don't know where I got that from.
That's crazy. So McDojo Life's coming on in a few weeks.
That's very cool.
Should be cool.
Definitely check that out.
And he's like got so many followers through Joe Rogan because Joe was talking about his videos live.
The guy's holding the guy in the gi and kicking him in the.
That's such a weird one though. Like that whole. Do you think they knew like that part of Asia? Obviously, that type of martial arts comes from Asia. Do you think they knew what they were up to? Like, we're going to try and confuse the Western man by doing all this stuff, and they're obviously paying for it, so we're just going to keep going. And then those people underneath them maybe believed it, and that's how a cult gets started.
I think that's how that happened. Yeah, the way I see it having played out is that he would have had people in his dojo reacting to him, Kiai, and it's called the guy, and the guy falls over. I don't think he knew it was going to work against the MMA fighter guy. I just think he thought it might work.
Right.
Because taking all the mysticism out of it, you can kind of imagine how it might work. Because there's a famous Darren Brown trick how he gets people into a trance. He goes to shake their hand, and then he does something, and it breaks the
spell,
the programming.
Right. Okay.
And then that's when you get into a very suggestive state.
Sorry if you keep it up to the mic there.
Sorry. So that's maybe what happened there.
Well, that's sexy deep voice that you have.
I think my voice is a lot deeper when I speak. I think as soon as I get a microphone in front of me, I speak a lot deeper.
I had to take all the bass off your mic.
Did you?
Yeah. I had to roll it back after the last one.
My voice isn't that deep in
hello.
Real life. Hello, ladies.
Just slow it down. And
hello, ladies.
Oh my god.
No, please don't.
You sound like the guy that does the movie trailers.
I was going for Val Venus, but never mind.
Val Venus.
In a world.
You just got 2 minutes. Bonesaw's ready.
Oh yeah. Let's not start with that Randy Savage impressions.
I was doing Bonesaw from Spider-Man, which was Randy
famously
Savage.
Played
yes.
Yeah. I don't think he was doing an impression of anyone.
Bonesaw's ready. You got 2 minutes.
Oh man, that's a good movie.
The second one is great.
Better.
Is great. The third one, the whole thing with Venom. Was it Venom? No.
Yeah, the fucking Topher Grace.
Venom. Yeah, that was terrible. Like walking down the street like he's in was it Saturday Night Fever? He's like
that's bad.
All the girls give him the eye because he has like black cum inside him.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. I like the new Venom movie.
Don't talk to me about it.
Why not? Like, what's your beef with that? Make it plain.
It seems like Tom Hardy's overacting in it. It seems like he's mumbling slightly again.
Yeah, it's becoming a bit of a trope with him, isn't it?
And the CGI looks pretty terrible.
So far.
Yeah.
I mean, they're getting asked for a lot of footage because I think they actually made a mistake by releasing footage too early without CG.
Yeah.
And
the bit where he's flying on the bike,
but
and then Venom kind of brings him back to the bike through his tentacles.
Every time that footage has come out, it's like better.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I think looks like a pile of hot garbage?
What?
Aquaman. Really looking forward to it. I remember seeing Mr. Sunday Movies, I think, did a really good. This is how I.
Is that the YouTube channel? Yeah. Brilliant YouTube channel.
It's either him or Bandit Incorporated. I listen to their podcast every week. I fucking love those guys.
Bandit Incorporated?
He's the guy who does the podcast, the Mr. Sunday Movies.
Right. Oh, he has his own podcast.
Yeah, they have like a podcast to do.
No way.
It's really good. It's really good. And they spoke about like I think actually it was Bandit Incorporated actually did a video and he was saying this is how I would make Aquaman. And when I saw, I mean, initially I was disappointed because they weren't really making that movie.
I was disappointed.
But I was disappointed. But I think they're going to try and cram 2 movies into 1 movie again. I think they're going to try and Batman versus Superman this shit. Suicide Squad.
Is anyone taking DC seriously though in the cinematic universe?
I'm not a big. The thing is that when I watch Marvel movies, I've read a lot. Not as a kid, like as an adolescent and young adult.
You still read comics?
No, I'm too busy. Like
cuts to your toilet and there's like a stack high.
No comment. No, I do really. I still do.
No, I do. I love it. I love it.
But it's mainly Marvel. So when I watch a Marvel movie, I try not to read what it's about because I don't want. Black Panther's a good example.
Yeah. Had you read that before you'd watched the movie?
At all. A little bit. I'd read a couple of like graphic. I downloaded. I bought legally a bunch of graphic novels.
Legally?
Yeah, legally from like a shop with money, cash though. So there's no paper.
Downloaded.
You wouldn't be able to
comics from a shop.
No. Like I bought comics from a shop with money. Tender. It's completely legit.
Legal tender.
Indeed. No. But
stamps.
I've read a bit of Black Panther, and then I found out this movie coming out.
Yeah.
And I deliberately avoided trailers and stuff like that and spoilers because I didn't want to know what was going to happen before it happened.
Yeah.
With DC, I don't really get that because I've not read a lot of DC. Mainly Batman I've read. But
it's a tough one, yeah. I don't think I've read anything in regards to DC. You know, that's one I've totally missed. And it's not because I was like sort of elitist when it came to DC or Marvel. It just I gravitated towards Marvel stuff when I was younger.
I just don't know many DC characters. I like Batman. I read a bunch of Batman, but not big on them all.
It did seem confusing though. Like it felt like DC was copying a lot of the characters and reiterating them, and then you know, what was it like Solomon Grundy and all that was like copies of Marvel characters.
Well, like Captain Marvel. Sorry, not even Well, it's interesting that Captain Marvel and Shazam are both coming out fairly soon because they were both called Captain Marvel at one point.
Right. Okay. Have you seen the Shazam trailer?
Yeah. It looks
holy
shit. That looks really good. I was going to get
that is going to be hilarious.
I'm looking forward to that.
It looks amazing.
But one thing that always comes up when it comes to comic book movies is my friends are like friends that are very into comics know about all the authors, the writers and the artists and stuff. It's like, it's not like the comics have. It's done differently in the comics and stuff like that. And it's one thing I think people need to be very aware of is they're not just making it for comic book fans. They need to make it for muggles.
Yeah.
Never read. Never read.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. Never read Harry Potter, but muggles is a good term.
What is something? Is there a word for when you use something in reference that is a specific reference, but you use it in a general sort of sense?
The uninitiated, I guess you could say.
Because that's a great way to call people who are sort of just don't know, like the general public. Muggles.
People outside of something that you know a lot about,
So good. I'm going to start calling everyone muggles.
Oh, shit. That's power snatching. That's
I got muggled last night.
Did you get muggled? No. In what way? Or are you just making a witty whip?
I'm making a cool whip.
A whip.
A witty wit.
A witty whip. But yeah, that's the Aquaman
one, the trailer for me was pretty terrible. The bit when he goes on the submarine and then he speaks to, it just seemed a bit cheesy. Yeah. I think they didn't know what they had on their hands when they made the lead up to the was it Batman versus Superman?
Mm-hmm.
I think because of the audience reaction, they based this movie around that, and they're going to milk everything that was good about it, and then it's too self-aware. You know, when you start to make a movie around being aware of something, then it can never truly be an art project or something that's a passion, you know.
Unless you're Deadpool.
Yeah.
But yeah, Aquaman seems like it could have been a good movie. I don't have a lot of faith in it.
What they did with him is amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, one of the lamest characters in DC, but albeit could be one of the most powerful characters.
Dude, they could have Jason Momoa playing fucking anyone. They could have him
Well,
playing...
they do that on Netflix, and you're just like, I don't care. Do you know how racist Netflix are? He was in
what way?
a Mexican movie where he had like tattoos, and he was in the cartel, and they was like, hey, Omar, and all this, and it's like,
is there a shortage of Mexican actors? He is very attractive, though.
oh man, come on! Is there anyone else at this point who's more attractive than Jason Meow Meow?
I mean, he's like a 10.
Yeah.
He's like a 10.5.
Every woman would probably say that.
Probably. I mean,
he's like the Brad Pitt, but not. He doesn't have the acting chops.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt was cursed by his good looks. He had amazing acting chops.
I saw Brad Pitt when he was filming
Thing with Z.
World War Z.
Yeah, because that was filmed in Glasgow, but it was meant to be Philadelphia.
Yeah. By all accounts.
Yeah.
Very attractive man. Attractive, but just a man. He's just a guy.
To me, I always assumed that he looked better on film than he does in real life. I think he looks like weirdly, strangely beautiful.
Yeah, he's very smooth and kind of like he's like it's that thing when you see someone really, really attractive, it kind of looks like they're kind of I think this is a Charlie Brooker, but it's kind of photoshopped into your reality. It does feel like that a little bit.
But Jason Meow Meow, he doesn't have the chops that Brad Pitt does.
No, but neither did Brad Pitt at the start, did he? You know.
Name one shit movie that Brad Pitt's been in.
I don't think I've got a point. I think I just said
Thelma
that.
and Louise? I think that was his first one. Yeah. But he's been in some great movies.
18 Monkeys?
12 Monkeys.
12 Monkeys, yeah. He's fucking brilliant at that. So.
Amazing. He's always good at playing those sort of kooky characters.
Famous Tyler Durden.
Philadelphia. Amazing. That's such a underrated movie as well.
Interview with a
vampire.
Yeah.
With a beautiful person.
Indeed.
Interview with a beautiful person.
Oh.
That's what it's called.
With
I'm joking. I'm saying that's what Interview with a Vampire is. Oh, yeah. It's from a book as well. That is so strange to me.
I just thought you were Gary Oldman's in it. Yeah, it's Gary Oldman. I thought you were making fun of Gary Oldman there.
Yeah, he's a bit hit or miss now.
No, he's not, man.
He was amazing back in the day.
He's all fucking hit, bro. He's all hit.
No.
Like, in what way? Because, I think you're more into film than I am. I'm very much just a dude that watches film.
Yeah, but you like it. There's nobody who's more into film than anyone else. It's just whatever reaction you have to someone acting is genuine. You know.
Well, I can't think of a bad Gary Oldman film. Everything I've seen him in, he's been fucking brilliant.
I think there was one.
Leon.
His recent ones.
What, the one he won the Oscar for? The fucking Darkest Hour?
No.
I've not seen that yet, but I already love that. It's already my favourite movie and I've not seen it yet.
I think they didn't utilise him enough in the Batman movies.
Yeah, but that was very much like...
But he was great.
Yeah, he was great.
That part that he played was great, but I just thought we could have seen a little bit more from him.
But I mean, even then, because Jim Gordon's in that movie is fairly meek.
Yeah.
I think he plays that quite well, and that's a good skill for an actor to have, to play a small personality well.
Yeah,
you know.
But he's been in some badass movies though.
Yeah, he's brilliant. Leon is
Fifth Element.
Fifth Element is the first movie I remember enjoying beyond just watching. I remember watching it with my dad and being like, "Yeah, it's really funny that Bruce Willis and Gary Oldman never meet."
Yeah,
that's a good point. Because think about that's a really underrated movie. I mean, it fails the Bechdel test by a million.
It's underrated in a really overrated way. You know, everyone loves it, but not for what it genuinely is.
Yeah, it's more for how it looks than how it is.
But it looks beautiful.
The plot's fucking brilliant as well. But yeah,
it's one of the best sci-fi movies ever, and it was when Bruce Willis was in his prime. You know, he was starting to get like just a bit older, and he was making seriously good movies.
Just before he hit his peak, when he was on Friends, obviously that's when he hit his
peak. That brings me to my next segment.
Okay,
so sometimes I do a little segment, and it's about how terrible some Vice articles are.
Oh, fucking brilliant. Let's fucking do it.
And I usually pick, I say usually, just when I feel like doing it, and when I feel like a guest is sort of maybe receptive to it, I pick a really terrible Vice article, and it's in no way sort of discrediting Vice, even though they post some shit.
Yeah, they've lost my respect. I mean, I used to pick up the magazine, and I used to read the articles on their website and watch the documentaries.
Yeah. 5 years ago, they were amazing.
Yeah. But now you hear, like, there was a guy on Joe Rogan fairly. I'm not actually watched the podcast, but I saw a clip speaking about crocodile.
Yeah. Is that the drug guy who's taking everything?
Yeah. But how that drug's not actually as bad as they said it was. People were actually cutting it with industrial grade stuff, and that's why their skin was destroyed. Yeah.
So yes.
Fire.
So taking it on from what you said, I picked this article by Vice. And I'm not going to go in depth into it because it's pretty self-explanatory. This one, the headline is 2 seconds. How Friends created a generation of neurotic, self-obsessed idiots. Okay. And the byline is 20 years after it premiered, it's still making us act like dicks. So this is by Clive Martin and Natalie Ola. Ola? Yes.
Well, first of all.
And I've read this, looked into it, and I was trying to take some things from it, but it is how it sounds. Like, you know, that's just exactly how the article goes. There's no like quip behind it. There's no sort of hot take on it. It's just exactly what they're saying in the title.
So, firstly, Vice, they kind of need to
shut their mouth.
That's literally my phone screensaver.
Is that a Friends quote? Is it?
It's like when Ross moves in with Chandler and it's like, guys, if we could just fucking love that. There's another article I read a little while ago about saying how Ross Geller is the antagonist of Friends.
Right.
I think it encapsulated a generation, and I don't think that the life that Friends portrays is relevant to now.
No.
Because it's relevant to living in New York City at that time. I mean, some of the kind of, like, the way it explains social interactions, I think are still kind of valid.
Yeah.
But there's only so much insight a sitcom can give you into real life. What was the headline again? Sorry.
How Friends created a generation of neurotic, self-obsessed idiots, and it was basically to do with this, how they were all sort of living in their fancy apartments, and they were all, didn't seem to work any jobs full time, and one of them was an actor, and one of them was like a paleontologist. I don't know how that makes you neurotic. But yeah, and I've seen articles before about this saying how people are triggered by Friends because it got released on Netflix, and it's one of the highest viewed series on Netflix. So people are watching it. It's not like it's just bullshit. And I hate this word triggered. It's terrible.
It's useful though. I mean, it's misused a lot, but it does serve a purpose.
I use it ironically, like when you say woke. Like if I say woke, it's ironically.
See, I can say that. I think to say something triggered a reaction is kind of valid, but to say that you are triggered as something, I'd never find that very useful. As far as
it's Friends, like saying I'm offended. It's like, well, good. Doesn't mean you're right.
That's your problem, not mine. So making your problem my problem. As far as Friends making people neurotic, I mean, you make a good point. It is a new generation of people who didn't watch it week after week. Because I remember watching Friends of a Thursday night or Friday night when it was out on Channel 4 in the UK, watching the newest episode.
Yeah. If I did this article, sorry, just to interject, if I did this with my previous guest, Laura Hope, did you hear about this? She has never, ever watched an episode, Seagulls, sorry, watched an episode of Friends, ever.
I don't envy her.
I thought you were going to say, I don't believe her.
No.
That's what I said when she said it. I was like, I don't believe you.
She's not missing much, to be honest with you. Every now and again, I see one that I haven't seen. No,
dirty whore mouth.
I try and watch
it. Shut your dirty
I try and watch it now. It just doesn't have the same kind of luster it used to. I don't. As far as that article is concerned, I don't think it made people neurotic.
No,
I don't. I think the characters in it are slightly neurotic, but I don't think it made people neurotic.
But they're all sort of like exaggerations of character traits in people. Yeah. You know, that's all it is.
It's a situational comedy. Yeah. It's kind of got to be distilled to that point.
And obviously, Seinfeld is not aged well either. You know, it's hilarious.
Indeed.
You know, it's a brilliant show. But obviously it was of its time. There's things in there that are just completely I don't relate to. You know, do you know what I don't relate to? People living in New York.
Yeah, neither do I. Yeah, I've never fucking been there. Never plan on living there.
This is going to happen wherever you are. And I'm not going to fucking write an article about it.
Indeed, if you want those money. Yeah.
Terrible.
I need to pee.
Okay. We'll take a pee break.
Intermission.
And we're back.
I'm back. Hey, you
both have the shortest bladders in the world.
Indeed. I do drink a lot.
Have you ever thought about going to see about it? Because we're getting older.
A little bit, yeah.
Do you think it's got worse as you get older?
I just think I'm really sensitive to diuretics. I mean, I drink far too much tea and coffee. 5 or 6 cups a day.
Cheers.
Cheers again. And cheers, listeners. I drink far too much fucking tea. I drink 5 or 6 cups a day at least.
Wow, tea.
My dad's the same. I mean, if it wasn't tea, it'd be coffee. So it's better that it's tea.
Yeah. Green tea.
No, just fucking Yorkshire tea.
Straight up black tea.
Smashing the tea bag against the side of the cup.
A builder's cup.
Pretty much, man. But back to this friends thing. You've really lit a fucking fire under me with this. So it kind of makes me want to go through all 6 characters and kind of tease them apart and if there's any merit to this. So I think the biggest candidate would be Ross, because Ross is by far the most neurotic.
Have you seen the video on YouTube and someone's taken out the laugh track when he's talking about the sandwich? You know,
yeah, it's creepy as fuck.
His work. For anyone watching or listening, go YouTube like Ross without his laugh track when he's talking about his sandwich at work. It's hilarious and quite creepy, actually.
Yeah, it's fucking creepy.
Yeah, it's a weird one to write a whole article on something that defines a whole generation sort of growing up.
Well, you get paid by the fucking word, man. You know, you write whatever you want.
It's terrible. But these are all opinion pieces. None of them are legit journalists.
They do a bit of research, yeah.
What do you call research? Like Googling something and then taking the first thing at the top?
Well, I mean, you could be like, I reckon X, Y, Z, or you could back it up with facts. I mean, I think Vice is too guilty of the former. But like, I think,
take it through all the characters. So Ross, obviously.
Ross is the most neurotic.
Yeah.
Now, I did read an article a while ago that I was kind of convinced by that he was a bit of a womanizer.
Really?
If you look at the number of girlfriends he goes through in the course of the show, it's kind of ridiculous. It does kind of look like he's just like getting to the third date and then never seeing them again.
What about Joey?
Well, they did the maths, and Ross is by far the worst.
Really?
But Monica, I think, is the worst. I can't remember. Someone dig up that article.
It was such a strange one because people start to, I don't know, they came into their own looks.
Yeah.
You know, I as a young hot-blooded male, I always thought Jennifer Aniston was like supremely beautiful in that show. And then as it got towards the end, I thought Monica was beautiful.
Yeah.
Never ever had a thing for Phoebe though.
I was always more Monica. I've got kind of a dark hair thing.
But even when she had like the short hair with the little bunches.
Good point. Good point.
Do you know what's great about that though? Is Jon Favreau, when he was in that, and he was cage fighting.
Yeah.
I think he was like a millionaire.
Yeah.
And she dated Jon Favreau. Is that how you say it? Favreau?
Favreau, yeah.
Favreau.
He's fighting Tank Abbott.
Yeah, and it was in like the actual UFC cage at that point. That's so funny. That it had such an effect on pop culture.
Indeed.
I think it was like 90. I'm not sure when that episode.
Sure, yeah. Maybe early 2000s. Tank Abbott, so I think he fought in 98, 99.
So what's your thoughts on the Liddell and what's his name fight?
Oh, Liddell Ortiz.
And Ortiz fight.
A deeper level of sadness than my last breakup. Put it that way. I don't want to see it. I don't see the point in it. I'm annoyed at Dana White.
Yeah.
Because the only reason this is coming about, I'm annoyed at Dana White. I'm annoyed at the UFC.
Yeah.
Because Chuck had a job for life. Fucking earned a job for life.
Yeah.
By fighting the way he did, making the sport what it is. He deserved, if anyone deserved a paycheck.
Yeah.
It's Chuck for life. It's Chuck Liddell, and the fact that he's been deprived of that is the only reason this is happening. If there's one person in MMA that has given more to the sport, it's Chuck Liddell, and I'm really sad to see that he's having to consider fighting again and potentially getting knocked out again, potentially losing to a guy that he hates. And letting his kind of warrior mentality get the better of him.
I mean, what age is he? Is he like
mid-40s, early 50s, I'd imagine?
I think he's late 40s. That's crazy. You can't let that guy fight.
No, they will let him though.
But it's not the UFC. It's that gold. It's
Oscar De La Hoya.
What's he doing in MMA? Like, do you think he saw Dana White trying to do boxing promotions?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I think Chael Sonnen made a good point saying that this only came about when Dana White was speaking about the Mcgregor, Mayweather in the cage debacle. And,
that was never going to happen.
No, and I think that this, I 50% hope, 50% think that this Liddell Ortiz fight's kind of wolf tickets. I don't think it's actually going to happen. And I hope it does. I really hope it does.
There's no way Liddell's passing any medicals.
No, there's ways.
And what is there? Because they don't have a stringent I mean, what is the governing body for that fight organisation?
Though they haven't announced. That's the thing. Another thing people have pointed out. They haven't announced the venue. There's no point in announcing a fight unless you can buy tickets for it, and they haven't done that yet.
Maybe they're trying to generate interest in the promotion.
But
maybe
instead of that, it's generating a lot of conversations about not wanting to see someone obviously suffering from CTE, suffering more CTE. I really don't want to see it.
Have you seen the video of Liddell when he was off his face on morning television?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, that's what happens.
But he was on like some sort of.
Yeah, that's what.
Have you read his book?
No, I haven't read his book. No.
Supposedly, it's insane. Like snorting coke the night before he was going to defend the title. You know, having wild threesome parties and all this.
Don't surprise me, man.
He's an absolute. I don't want to say
savage.
lad because that is a trigger
He was a
word.
fucking savage. That's
Savage.
what he was. He was a
savage.
He was he was a interesting cat. I mean, he did more for the sport than a lot of people did, and even in his losses, he elevated the sport.
I mean, who else is sort of close to it? Maybe Couture, maybe. But you know, he was sort of compensated really well.
Yeah, and he got out when the game was good and was business savvy.
He was a prime example of it doesn't matter when you start MMA. I guess at that point,
as long as you
have a 10-year span where your body can just perform this type of task. He just people were sort of like, oh, he's like older, but he didn't get into it when he was older, so his body still hasn't been through it. And
he was one of those guys that also boxed and wrestled.
Yeah,
it's a big point that the book I mentioned last time it was on, Say Uncle,
right,
speaks about a lot of guys that were catch wrestlers that also boxed, and how useful that became. Like Karl Gotch is a good example. He was a judoka and also boxed and did catch wrestling. So Randy Couture kind of fits that mold, and that he was one of the people that was lucky enough to have a grappling background and a striking background, and kind of came into the sport because he famously boxed in the army.
Yeah. Was he in the army? Yeah.
He was indeed. Yeah, he was indeed. That's Mike, like Mike Goldberg saying it, boxing in the army.
Don't like Mike Goldberg.
I love Mike Goldberg.
Are you talking about the commentator or the wrestler?
It's Bill Goldberg is the wrestler.
I don't
Mike
like Bill Goldberg.
No, Bill Goldberg.
Mike Goldberg's great.
Love Mike Goldberg
because he's complete like Americana, so innocent, you know, as well. And he's just like, what happened? What did you hear about why he got dropped? Was it drugs?
What, Mike Goldberg?
From UFC.
I don't know. I don't know what that was. I've never heard anything to that.
Because it just seemed like he was like, oh, I'm not working anymore for the UFC. And it was around that time.
Thinking about it, I mean, the fact that there was no big Joe Rogan didn't kick up a fuss about it, and no one else kicked up a fuss about it. It was just one of those things that was kind of a long time coming. Never showed up in any broadcast.
Nothing.
Said some weird shit, but he always said some weird shit. You always said weird stuff.
That's Americana.
Exactly.
No, it's not. It's a leg lock.
Exactly.
Did you see today, actually, and this is sort of specific to the UK, but the House of Fraser, which is almost a British institution, a posh one at that. What do they even sell? It's like
too fucking much. That's what they sell. No, this is the point I made earlier.
And they're going under.
Yeah.
You know, they went into liquidation. No. Liquidation. No. So the person that owns Sports Direct,
Mike Ashley,
of all people in all companies, bought over House of Fraser. Does that mean they're going to sell tracksuits?
Probably not. My experience of House of Fraser, I know nothing about House of Fraser. I know nothing about economics. I know nothing about how to run a store.
Yeah.
But walking into House of Fraser's in Glasgow, one thing I'm very aware of is that you have makeup counters, you have various little boutiques and various subsections of the shop. It just feels very, very spread out, and it felt like they were trying to do a lot with one space, and I think that was maybe their downfall.
Right. Do you not think it's connected to the fact that they're a sort of high street chain? Well, not chain, but there are numerous ones across the country, and that there is a decline in the high street.
They survived 2008.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, obviously they are a luxury brand. They do sell luxury things, and I don't think anyone goes in there not expecting to spend, south of 30, 40 quid in one go, I've definitely seen people going in there just to get their makeup done and stuff at great cost.
You can do that in Debenhams.
Can indeed.
I've tried.
Is it good?
But he spent 90 million on the House of Fraser.
Yeah, but how much was
Is
it worth
Fraser
last week?
or Fraser?
I thought I said
I used to say Fraser.
I think Fraser. I think
Fraser.
House of Fraser. But
there can only be one.
There can only be one. I'm not too sure. It's not a shop I go to a lot. It's kind of funny that it was bought by Mike Ashley.
Do you think that'll bring down the name slightly? That someone who owns that sort of type of...
Initially, but nobody fucking knows. People will forget. I mean, one thing I would be more concerned about is the worker rights.
Yeah.
People House of Fraser. Because Fraser, I said Fraser there.
Fraser.
Because there was a big thing in the news a while ago about the factories and the factories or warehouses. That's
right.
Warehouses that they use, and the people, wearing nappies to work there because they couldn't get toilet. But
wow.
There was some really archaic thing about having to queue up to get in and then queue up to leave.
Who's the type of person that chooses to work in a place where they don't get breaks, so they wear a nappy? It must be slave labor. There's no other way around that.
Yeah, people
that don't know their own rights in their own country.
People from you're right. People from different countries that come here looking for work and
That's
are exploited. And I don't think that's going to happen in House of Fraser because it's obviously customer-facing staff and it's slightly different. But it is a concern of mine. It's mainly because I've been in a shitty situation before with employers. Not my current employers; they're fucking brilliant. But employers in the past have put me in shitty situations, and I've had little to no recourse. So I kind of know what it's like to be in that position. So it's something I do worry about because I know that sports director are bad for this. There have been complaints about. I can't speak about that. There have been complaints about behaviour in store with certain staff being asked to do things that are against working time law, and people in warehouses as well. And I doubt these are unique experiences. So I just hope that doesn't carry over in the House of Fraser.
But you know how a lot of these companies get around it? You just sign a contract where you can give up, you know how you're supposed to work a minimum, like a certain amount of hours and then have a rest period in those.
It's 11 hours.
Companies that
it's 11 hours on average over 5 years, I think it is.
There's people that can companies that just ask you to sign that way. Like you can work as many hours, in a row, as long as you sign a contract.
But then, if a contract's not valid, is that not a thing? If it's not valid,
but a contract, if you sign it, that's you agreeing to.
It works though.
You can bypass those sort of standards.
Where's the line though? Where's the line there?
It's over there.
But I signed a contract. I know I killed that guy.
Yeah.
But I signed a contract that said I could kill that guy. So I know that's an extreme example, but where's the line?
There's no line. You signed a contract.
I think the way I don't think it works like that. I think if you're made to sign a contract that contravenes the law, I think the law takes precedent.
Right.
I don't know if this is just an American thing, but I know where there's ambiguity in a contract, it benefits the party that didn't write it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'm just getting that from a sitcom.
Probably.
Most of my learning comes from TV.
See.
Yeah.
Friends made you a narcissistic idiot.
Exactly. Book learning is for nerds. But yeah, I don't know. That was interesting though. I was interested. That was something I didn't expect to read in the news this morning.
Why did it come to a head all of a sudden? We've heard nothing about it, and then this morning it was when they were in talks.
I don't really keep a track of business news, to be honest with you. I'm too busy trying to follow fucking MMA.
I didn't even know they were still around. House of Fraser. I thought it was one of these things that would have been long gone.
No, it's a big, pretty prominent part of Glasgow City Centre. So I've had friends that have worked there in the past as well. So
there was one that was shut down in Edinburgh recently, not House of Fraser, but it was one of these type of places. It was like Edinburgh Mill or something. They did wool or whatever. And it's named after the city, and the city that it was in shut down. That department store. It's crazy.
Look, it's a prestige brand, and is there much room for that these days?
No. I don't know if it was the prestigeness. I think it's because it's a high street brand. I think that's where there is a problem.
Maybe if we had more disposable income, the government. Maybe this would happen.
Are you talking about income, universal income?
Yeah, that's an interesting point. That's an interesting subject.
Because I saw you posted recently about how Canada.
Yeah, it was Toronto, I think.
They were doing a trial.
They weren't doing. They cut it short.
Yeah.
I don't think universal income's a good idea. Not yet. I think.
What's your reasons?
I think it's too soon.
Right.
I don't think automation.
Who died? Who died? Capitalism.
The industrial. Viva la
capitalism.
I don't think we're at the point just now where automation is going to kick a lot of people out of the workforce.
Right.
The most common job description, as far as I'm aware, is driver.
Right.
And that's probably the first job that's going to be fully automated. Self-driving cars and so.
You wouldn't think it was factories?
No, because we're kind of already there.
Right.
I mean, look how much of the process is. I mean, they just hire less people now.
Yeah.
They hire machinists as opposed to.
But that is still an effect of that process.
But it's not completely eradicated. I mean, I think the consensus is that driver will be the first kind of role to be phased out fully because it's achievable within our time, our lifetime.
It's just the only one that's not been affected by it, though.
Thus far.
Yeah.
But it will be. Because the description of driving takes up so many different. I mean, think about it. I mean, most industries require logistics.
Yeah.
Something going from point A to point B, the product or the people moving from point A to point B. But I don't think we're going to get to that point soon enough where it completely eradicates.
Right. Will that be just because of technology or because of pressure from the people that are in these positions and work?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
So you're saying we're not there yet?
I don't think we're there yet in that.
With drivers, but is that because it's not going to take over and be automized because of the technology that's not there yet, or because there's going to be people boycotting technology taking over? Is it a thing that's
both of those points? Okay. Also, they would require a massive change in infrastructure. Anyone in the know that I've heard speak about this subject says that if you're going to have driverless cars, you're going to need to have driverless lanes,
right?
Because the interaction of the two just is you're adding chaos into order in that respect. And I work in software testing, so I understand kind of roughly how I get a problem solve and look ahead in this respect and think, I can see the issues there. So there's a massive infrastructure change. I like the idea of universal income. I just don't think it's appropriate just yet. But this trial would have been a factual basis for me. Instead of me saying, I think
you would have results,
data, and something to pour over, and something to.
How long had they been into the study?
I'm not too sure, to be honest with you. I think it was only a couple. I know they cut it way short. I know it was meant to go on a lot longer.
And what was the reasons?
They said it was very vague. Again, not much like YouTube, Facebook, Twitter.
Yeah, they can.
Apple. They're not showing they're working. They're just saying it was having the wrong effect. This isn't my issue. I mean, show your fucking working. Tell us why. We deserve to know.
Did they say what was the wrong effect?
No, they just said it was having the wrong effect.
Well, it could stem from the sort of the weird liberalism and leftism in Canada, so that they don't want to be shown that something is maybe not viable.
What's the
and it's based on a sort of left idea, to be the universal income. And if it's having the wrong effect, and it's something that the government was wanting to push, that's not a good image.
What was the it was the local Conservative government that pulled it back, as far as I'm aware. Yeah.
Wow. That totally seems like it must be like having some sort of effect.
Exactly. It was probably making poor people happy. But when there was talk of introducing the universal income to Glasgow, I said that I would probably give that money away because I don't need it.
But would you be in the test parameters? Like, would you be? Yeah.
Hypothetically,
because they would have to test it first.
Yeah, they need to test it.
If it came to Glasgow, it would be obviously the lower echelons of the socio-economic scale.
Well, that's not the way it was explained to me, but this is a third party who put an article explaining it to me.
Okay.
But also, apparently, it doesn't work that way. Apparently, it's more of a tax break. It's more of a if you can, everyone pays a base level of tax, and then the amount you get. I can't remember exactly how it works. Even then, if I ended up with excess money, I would give that away because I don't need it. Ideologically, I don't want it, and I think it could be better. And as far as I'm concerned, that's the government's money, that I'm going to take and give to someone who needs it more than I do, you know.
But do you not have excess money in your day-to-day life?
Well, I mean, how much do I need? How much do I want? It's a conversation I have quite a lot, you know. I could get by on much less than I get, you know. And just ideologically, I don't want that money.
Okay.
It's not money that I earned. It's not money that, you know, I was given for a good reason. It's just, you know, money that's been given to me for free.
Yeah.
You know, what I do with that is kind of my choice, and I'd rather put it towards something positive than just fucking keep it and spend it on penny whistles and moon pie. You know what I mean?
When are you spending on penny whistles?
Well,
what has he strokes his twirls his tash?
I can't help it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know I've been touching my mustache a lot. It's in my mouth. And
so you're getting a bus back.
Yes.
Oh, 11.
Bus wanker.
Yeah, so we're at the 2-hour mark.
Fantastic.
Already.
Fantastic. I think it's 11:30 my bus. So
okay. Cool. Yeah.
Got a good go.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Am I boring you? Sorry.
No.
I do this.
I thought it was 11.
No, that's correct.
Just he does not taking my social cues, and I'm like, please get out.
I'm just decompressing after a difficult week at the grindstones.
No, that's fine. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't think the idea of universal income has to be based on what could come. You know, I think that it's born out of something that we're facing at the moment. You know, I don't think it has to get any worse for it to have any merit. You know, if you know what I'm saying. Like, I think it's still. It's even in the same way that we had, you know, benefits, you know, for the poor people. It's that sort of thinking about it. I don't think it's comes down to jobs or lack of jobs. I just think it comes down to capitalism and taking that edge off.
Well, what's the desired effect? I mean, you're taking the edge off, you just said, but I mean, like, what's the...
I think, to me, when I read universal income, it's to give everyone a baseline of income to cover their bills, so you're not struggling from week to week, regardless of whether you're in a job or not. So that you can feel like you can be more productive and not have to worry. You know, even some people struggle to get to their job every day because of money. Not even just feeding themselves, just to get there. Yeah, and that's an issue.
I mean, that is an issue. It's actually something that Kieran highlighted to me, was that the majority of benefits go to people on their pension and people who already work and who need to supplement their income with benefits. The people who receive it for, you know, job seekers and so on, and the people who receive it fraudulently take up such an insignificant amount of the pie, it's almost not worth, you know, prosecuting or investigating so vociferously. But yeah, like what to you? What's the desired effect of universal income?
To take the edge off. I think it's so everyone. I think it's a hard one to put into words. I think it would drum up a sort of a community spirit. A sort of, you would feel like your government is for you.
Yeah, okay. So it takes the pressure off. Yeah. Yeah, okay.
And you feel like you're not just left to your own devices. Some people like that, some people don't. But if you're a single parent, you know, you're even just by yourself, or even you're 19, or any of these circumstances, it makes you just feel like you're not going to struggle from month to month, I guess.
See, I've kind of got a different perception of it, because I live alone. Okay, I live by myself, and I realize that there is a financial kind of impact on that, because I'm not sharing my bills with everyone else. Although I only use the energy of, you know, electricity of one person, I still pay the whole rent myself. I still pay all the bills myself, and I do take that on the chin a little bit. And I prefer to live alone. It's just.
But that seems like you're in the 1% then. You know, like you're someone who has enough money to live by themselves and pay for all these bills. You know, it's not economic. You know, for right. You.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess I see your point. You do make a good point.
That's him scratching his beard.
Sorry. Yeah. Made me think.
Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, okay. I see your point. You have a point there. Yeah, it does. Yeah, I guess it would.
But there are, there's downsides to everything.
Yeah.
You know, just because you can name 2 or 3 downsides does not nullify the positive things that can come from a situation where we can make everyone feel like they're not getting left behind. You know, that wasn't that Tony Blair's like fucking motto at one point. You know, you leave no person or child behind. Yeah. And what did the government do? You know, we're in austerity now.
That was the Clintons.
Fuck
no
Clintons.
child left behind.
Oh, okay.
Fuck them. No, you do make a good point. Yeah, it does take I guess it would take the pressure off a little bit. But the key point is that, you know, allowing this trial to finish naturally would have given us a factual basis to instead of us reckoning, we could have went, well, if you look at the data, X, Y, Z, make an informed opinion. Just now it's just an opinion.
Well, we'd have to tweak it as well. You know, nothing comes in as a pure idea, leaves as a pure idea. You know, we have to tweak things to how the world works and how it runs. You know, that's why people start butting heads, because they think, well, this is an idea, or communism or capitalism, and it's pure, and this is how it has to work. You know, it's not. You know, we have to deconstruct these things so it works for everyone, and implement things that make it smoother. You know, and are able to sort of incorporate everyone. But do you think those things are symptoms of the Western world? Like, how would that work against the Middle East? You know, universal income. That's not even something that we think of when it comes to that. How would that apply to that type of place?
Like, to be honest with you, having never experienced it myself, I've never been.
Have you ever had a vagina?
Depends what you mean. Have.
You personally, and on you. No, that doesn't even work either.
You're giving me wiggle room here, bro.
Have you ever personally had a vagina? Oh, God. Don't even know how to word it.
No, I've never been female.
Have you ever owned...
Oh, shit. No, that's a whole other box of frogs.
Have you ever owned a vagina? Are you talking about fleshlight? Right, okay.
No comment.
Moving on.
But no, that'd be...
How do those things apply? Is that just a symptom? Like communism?
Well, I think we've seen how communism applies to the East. I think we've seen it.
But the Middle East? Like, is that something that would apply, like, could be applicable there?
I don't know. I mean, I guess if we're speaking about the Middle East, a lot of I don't know the proportion, but a lot of Middle Eastern countries would presumably go by Sharia law or in some
dictatorships,
some kind of influence of Sharia law. So I guess in that respect, you've kind of got to consult what does the Quran, what do the Hadith say about this kind of stuff. I'm not too sure. I guess in a way, giving people universal income is kind of quite humanistic, and it is.
But is it universal as an idea?
I mean, you mean properly, like, yeah, that's a good point, actually. I don't know. I don't know what the fact. An issue you would probably have in the Middle East, just troubleshooting, would be a lack of documentation. It's a famous issue coming out of the Middle East that they don't, like, birth certificates aren't as well kept as they are in the rest of the world, so people don't really interact with the state until they need to. Right. So then, I mean, I guess you come down to people that have never interacted with the state. How people that are entitled to it, how do they gain access to it, you know? Yeah. Because then it becomes an issue of people having to interact with the state, which is naturally I'm going to be against, obviously. You know, so...
Well, small government, you know, we want to limit the interaction, but at the same time, we want it to benefit the people. And that's what it should mainly be about. Yeah. Not just to profit from the people. Government should be about making benefit from them being in their life.
See, this is I've just finished reading a book called
The Bible. That's the only book.
You keep saying that.
The Hungry Caterpillar.
Hungry Caterpillar. That's another one you keep saying. Chuck Palahniuk's new book, Something Day, Reclamation Day, I think it's called.
He has a new one out.
It's really
Was it good?
Really good.
When was the last one?
I'm not sure. I got it for my birthday in June, so someone bought me.
Happy birthday!
Thank you. 2 months ago. Big 3-0.
What?
Fucking 30 as fuck.
30 as fuck.
But in that book, Chuck Palahniuk basically says that, well, he doesn't say, one of the characters that he contrived said that the government should act as a series of clerks, and I quite like that idea.
Right.
That kind of.
What is that to you, though?
So, I ended up saying this the other day when I was speaking to my neighbour about politics, and it just kind of fell out my mouth, and it sounds very. It's about as revolutionary as I get.
I like how you word your interactions with people.
Well, I like to keep mind of when I came up with someone, because
right.
it's you know, I can pick apart the genesis of it. I can be like, why do I think this? Oh, it's because of it.
Yeah.
I basically came out with, I think we're past leaders. I think we're past the point where we need a head of state. I don't see the point in Theresa May. I don't see what function she serves. I don't see. I'm sure, like, functionally in government she has a role, but to me, as far as being a head of state, it's kind of a non-thing. Yeah. So I think we're kind of past leaders. I think if you want to get involved in government, in my opinion, you should want to serve the public. And in that respect, I think the majority, if not all, of government employees should serve as clerks. Yeah, should serve as people who make the things happen. Not people that decide what happens, but obviously
who makes it.
Exactly. There needs to be obviously
representative government.
Exactly. There needs to be a change in how democracy is enacted, obviously,
as opposed to sort of determining and sort of dictating what goes on.
Exactly.
Because that's essentially what we're going through. I think
nobody wanted less sugar in their iron brew. Nobody wants to buy.
No one in Scotland did, anyway.
Nobody wants to fucking sprint to the office 5 to fucking 10 on a Friday night to buy a stockpile of booze that you're never going to fucking get through.
No,
you know what I mean?
I think it's a bit of a buzz issue, to coin a term, not a buzzword. But do you think as long as the royals are part of our system, that those things won't happen? We'll always look to people to be the head.
That doesn't help, certainly. I don't see the point in the royals. And if anything, I mean, not seeing the point in something doesn't seem to be a good motivator for not keeping it around anymore, you know? No, I don't see the point in the royals. They drum up a lot of tourism, but as far as I'm aware, the figures on that don't really reflect it.
I mean, I've said this a bunch of times. No one goes to the palace to get a selfie with the Queen. You know, that just doesn't happen.
Impossible.
That's not what they expect.
No.
They go there because it's a historical and a cultural sort of icon, not because they're trying to interact with the Queen. So if you get rid of that, it's not going to distract from the tourism at all.
I know, but it's more, tourism's one side of it, but it's more the kind of, the Queen swears in the new Prime Minister. The Queen knights people.
Was there not those blanked out documents? What are they called? Redacted documents?
The spider.
That was showing that the Queen actually has more power than they make out.
Was it not Prince Philip? Was it not the Black Spider memos or something they were called? The Spider Writing Memo? Something like that? That's what my brain's telling me. I think it's something called the Black Spider Memos or something. And it's basically him because they did redact it. They redacted a lot of those documents because he was basically saying he loved the fucking Tories. Probably.
Look, if your whole government,
like a fucking Lib Dem.
if your government is predominantly made up of a certain class of people that went to a certain school in a certain area of the country, that doesn't represent anyone.
That studied a certain number of subjects as well.
How is that
PPE?
How is, like, you can fill all your quotas and bring in all you want from any different sort of culture and any sort of gender, but that's just a front.
But quotas.
But the core of it is that those elitists or the elites went to a certain school, were brought up in a certain way, haven't interacted with anyone in the UK. And they're bringing ideas to sort of benefit themselves. That's it.
And if
it's the crux of it.
And if they were a series of clerks, that would be less of an issue. But even you mentioned quotas there. I mean, that's. I just recently watched W1A, the BBC TV series. It's filmed very similarly to The Thick of It.
Right. Okay.
That kind of style of filming. There's a bit where the BBC diversity memo comes out, and they basically go like, "Listen, if I'm going to meet these diversity quotas, I need to fire 4 of my Asian newscasters to make this." You know, like quotas is stupid because it becomes a question of proportional representation.
Yeah.
You know,
quotas assume that everyone's sort of equal in all spectrums. Like, it doesn't take into account for culture. It doesn't take into account of gender. It doesn't take into account of your social status. Doesn't it take into account of your economic status? That just is a blank, hard quota.
What do we see first? Basically, comes down to, and that's I don't like that.
No.
Obviously, as I said earlier, like we were speaking earlier about trans stuff, and I said, you know, I'd rather have a trans person's insight on this.
Yeah.
If you're making a TV show about fucking Hinduism,
yeah,
you should probably have a couple of Hindus,
of course,
speaking about what it is, you know. But yeah, is that fireworks?
Yeah, side of the fringe.
Oh, good.
Well, no, it's the end of the fringe day.
Oh, fringe day, is it?
So they have fireworks every single night.
Oh, fantastic.
No, it's not fantastic.
Edinburgh just loves big booms. 1 o'clock, big boom. Nighttime, big boom.
People notoriously hate it because they have animals and pets,
Yeah.
and they're just like scared every night.
See, that's the thing. Like, my cat, absolutely fine with fireworks.
Yeah.
He'll actually stand at the window and watch them if he can see them. You know, he's but lightning, terrifying. You know?
It's more primordial.
Probably. He's actually my early warning system. We had a thunderstorm a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, it's definitely going to thunder and lightning.
Bringing it to Thunder and Lightning. I've been playing God of War. Have you played the new one?
I haven't played the new one. No, I've seen a couple of Let's Plays.
Man,
yeah,
it is amazing.
I actually was reading a bit about Norse mythology before this came out. I believe what's his name?
It just plays to all my pagan roots. You know, it's like,
you're
like
a pagan, are you?
Yeah, I love like runes and fucking all this stuff as well.
Crystals and shit. And
not crystals.
No,
I'm not like sort of a Wiccan witch at all.
No,
but like I'm fucking half Viking probably. Have you not seen my logo?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay.
Have you seen Heal Along?
Seen what?
Heal Along.
No, never heard it. No.
Right, we're gonna play this now.
I'm gonna play it.
It's a band.
Uh-huh.
They're Danish.
Okay.
Hopefully YouTube lets me play this.
Probably.
Sorry, if we speak over it, then it doesn't matter.
It's not gonna be.
So I've spoke to a few people about this.
Okay.
Heal Along. And they're a Danish band who do sort of Norse songs and sort of pagan songs.
Okay, right. I can get into this.
They're amazing. If anyone's listening and watching, you have to. And you're into that sort of thing. It's just amazing. Like it's the same feeling when I saw Diamford, and I was like, I felt like I was watching something special.
So it's like
it's a show.
Vocal music, like
but there's drums and whatever. But you know when you see these type of things at these festivals, it's super cheesy. These guys pull it off properly.
That's very cool. So where are they from? Iceland or?
They're Danish.
Oh,
but they do like old Norse languages, and they speak. They sing in Old Germanic as well.
Okay.
You know, there's a lot of sort of real, legit stuff.
I know there's a very small number of people in the world that can still read runes. It might even be nobody now.
These guys know their stuff. Like they're supremely into this history. I'll show you the actual video for this. It's like all these runes having sex with each other and fighting each other. It's amazing. But look at the get up. That's amazing.
It's very nice. It's kind of like looks kind of what I imagine traditional garb would look like. I mean, one thing I've noticed being from the East Coast, there is a big prevalence for paganism in our end of town.
I think it's in our DNA. Like I think
maybe
I think genetic memory is a real thing.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I think even just from obviously genetic memory, people think it is only solely to do with even your grandfather to your father to you. But I think it is something that's inherent in you for the last maybe like 10,000. I don't know what the cycle is for that type of thing, but it's something that speaks to me, you know. And I'm not romanticizing it. It's just because, you know, it just, even though it's probably not what it actually was, you know, it does something.
Yeah, it's kind of, I see what you're getting at. It's
like it gets my cockles up, as we say on the East Coast.
Do we?
Maybe not you, you're from
Dundee. Yeah.
I thought you were at Broth.
No, group of Montefieth, so kind of in between. Both my parents are from Dundee. No, it's very interesting. I mean, it's something I've seen a lot of people on Facebook, especially, getting more into it and being more vocal about being into paganism and stuff. It's not something I've really ever messed about with. I mean, I'm on a kick just now where...
I'll show you this later after.
That's fine. I'm on a kick just now where I'm trying not to rain on anyone's parade. I noticed I caught myself doing that a little bit a couple of years ago. I caught myself basically pissing on people's beliefs. And instead of trying to argue against them and have a factual basis, I was just shitting on it. So I've seen a lot of people speaking about paganism online, and I'm thinking, I'm going to say fuck off. I'm just going to keep out of it. You know?
It's not, to me, when I speak about this thing, it's not to do with the spiritual side of it. It's just aligning myself with something that I feel is more in tune with nature. Like modern religions, Abrahamic religions are so far removed from that. It's like the emphasis is on the person and God, as opposed to the pagan religion is about sort of just feeling, you know, if you take mushrooms, everyone thinks you're a pagan, you know. It's all about the world and everything is integrated so much. I mean, what other religion makes you think that? You know, people use Christianity to fight other people in different countries. You know, the people that look different.
But people also use Abrahamic religion to great ends.
Example.
I'll give you a great example. Thank you for asking, Darren. So, TV show.
Friends.
British TV show. Not Friends for once. SAS, Are You Tough Enough is the name of the show. Okay. And there's a guy, a Muslim guy. They're asked to do a test. Basically, what they're asked to do is stand with their back facing on a diving board with their back facing the water, and they have to fall backwards, and they need to like arch their back. And basically, what will happen is
to break the water.
Well, if they do that, what will happen is their body weight will naturally carry them over. So they go feet first. But you need to do it perfectly, or you'll not do it. You'll not hurt yourself, but you know. But it's like a test of metal. It's a test of whether you can do it or not.
It's like that test where they make you fall backwards and someone will hold you. Like,
exactly. Yeah. But dialed to fucking 11.
Yeah. And solely to yourself. Yeah.
Exactly. So a couple of the dudes, most of the guys, were able to just fucking do it. Because they're normal people, but they're training to do the SAS thing, and this is quite deep into the process. This is down to the final fucking 6-4. You know. A Muslim dude turns his back, goes to do it, stops, and he's like, "Fuck, can't do it." And he goes to do it again, can't do it. Just for a fucking second, he just stopped, said a little prayer to himself, and found the strength within himself to do it. Like that's, that's a very minor example, but that's what religion's for. I don't have that. That's not a route I can tap into, but that's something that religious people do, and I A, envy, and B, admire that.
Right.
That's being able to find inner strength from outside yourself is kind of fucking admirable when you think about it.
But it's not. You're taking that basis on you're actually thinking those things are real to those people. But they're generating that from within.
But even though it's not real.
But they're generating it within. That's a self-motivation.
I know, and that's my opinion about it. But the mechanism by which they access that...
It's not external.
Is to them, within their own understanding of the world, within their own reality, is their God. Yeah. Their God allows them, their faith in their God and their faith in their place on this mortal plane gives them the courage to do X, Y, and Z. And I kind of admire that. I can't think of that as a bad thing. in that particular example, but
Yeah.
I'm sure there's lots of examples.
They're just, to me, they're the ultimate self-motivators.
Yeah, well, that's I'm an atheist, and that's something I deal with. I struggle with constantly.
Yeah.
You know?
No, totally.
Oh. Way to
Sorry.
go, buddy.
We probably should finish up by now.
Yeah, again, to the other point.
Starting to spill my beer and whatever.
Deliver. Fuck, I'll just go. Jeez.
No, but I'll show you this video afterwards
yeah.
anyway.
Before you
it's
kick me out.
It's been great to have you on.
It has indeed, man. I'm looking forward to it.
I don't think well, we were supposed to podcast a month ago,
Yeah,
but I was ill.
That's fine,
I was
man.
so ill. I didn't ask you this last time, but I usually ask people questions at the end.
Go ahead.
Favorite movie that you've seen or in the past?
Favorite movie. It goes up and down. Just because I watched it quite recently, The Mask is one of my favorite movies.
The one with Jim Carrey.
The one with Jim Carrey.
Wow.
It's a really good movie. I really enjoy that movie. Was it that bad?
No, I was shaking.
No, it just kind of has everything. It has a lot of comedy. It's dark. There's a bit of subtext to it. It's one of those movies that I watched as a kid and then watched as an adult and picked up different things. Cameron Diaz,
a smoking hot Cameron.
That was her debut role.
Wow.
She was a model before that, and then they went,
really?
Yeah, we've got this one girl we think might be okay for the part. Like, okay, we'll give her a shot, and then she ends up fucking getting it. So yeah. I know it's maybe not as highfalutin and maybe not quite as highbrow as some of the answers you got, but it's a movie I've watched recently. It's been on my.
I've not seen it as an adult, so I'd love to go back and watch it.
I'd recommend it. The comics as well.
Sadly, it never got a sequel. Well,
It did get a sequel.
The right sequel.
2 sequels.
Favorite piece of music
of
all time.
Of all time, that's a big ask.
Or recently.
One that stayed with me from the I'll give 2 answers. One that stayed with me from the very first time I heard it to now is a Shai Hulud song. Shai Hulud, Misanthropy Pure.
It's a Dundee band, obviously.
Yeah, they're big in Dundee.
Yeah. Where were they from, actually?
Fucking...
Arbroath?
I remember their MySpace was linked to Poughkeepsie in New York, but I don't know if that's where they're actually
really?
from. Yeah, I don't know if that's where they're from. I know Matt Fox is from New York, but I don't know.
Okay.
There's a song that I've been listening to. I just rediscovered it. Year of No Light.
Right.
I think it's called Persephone Part 1. It's from their album Ozervelt, I think it's called.
Great.
Man, it's just a great piece of music, man. It gets me. There's a big build up. Oh man, I recommend it. If you're going to listen to Persephone 1 by Year of No Light.
Great book that you've read recently, or all time apart from the Spunk modules.
I just reread Rules for Radicals by Saul Alinsky. It's a lot of people have read that book.
Right.
It's a cornerstone. A lot of people have. I just got a lot out of it. It just really made me think about how politics can interact with people, and different ways to think about things, and just how to apply how I feel about politics to everyone else.
And your favorite quote to end on?
Oh, thank you. Genuinely. Genuine. Thank you for asking me this, because this gives me a platform to say something that I've said to anyone that cares to fucking listen. And it's not from a book. Right. It's not from a known person. It's from a friend of a friend. It's my brother's friend, Hamish, one of his friends. And he said that happiness is more of a hotel than a home. Which
it's pretty cool.
That sums up exactly, because I've always, because this is the reason this came about was because I wrote this whole it was an essay competition for the Humanist Society of Scotland.
Oh, no way.
And I wrote an essay about how I don't strive to be happy, I strive to be content.
Right.
And when I'm sad, I'm not trying to make myself happy, I'm trying to tip over into content.
Okay.
Because being content is being happy with what you have. Happiness is a hotel, not a home. It's a place that you are for a short period of time.
Yeah.
And then you come back to normal. So it's where your baseline is.
Yeah.
That's something I've always kind of gone by. So
makes sense.
Happiness is more.
It's very Scottish answer.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, it's been great to have you on, and thank you for coming along. I know we tried to get this together a month ago, and I was stupidly ill when you were supposed to come through.
That's quite all right.
Where can folks find you?
My Instagram and my Facebook are both Metal Gear Smithy. It's very much a personal account, not a professional one. But
And do you have the podcast?
we have recorded an episode.
Okay.
I don't know if we're going to re-record it or not, but it is there. It'll be out fairly soon. It's a work in progress. More my fault than Kieran's, but it's coming there.
Excited to hear it, man.
Thank you very
much. I've been
much.
looking forward to it since you guys came on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on again, man. Much appreciated.
Peace.
Peace. Thank you.